only way that you can really stop this kind of thing is to arouse public opinion. It's very upsetting. It has a bad moral effect.
Forced adversity.
When I was a kid, it was too much supper. Now it's comic books.
I'll burn them tomorrow.
Bad, B-A-D-D, bothered about Dungeons and Dragons.
Ask yourself, what's more terrifying, fear or the frightened?
I think there ought to be a law against them. Tonight I'm going to show you why.
Tonight I am going to show you why there ought to be a law against them, and that is off-brand Tool songs. Should be a law against them. But that's what you just heard, and you're welcome, and I'm sorry. And you're very welcome for my co-host, Morgan.
Oh, hi. It is me. I am here.
Now,
I think.
yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well,
Okay.
I'm dying to know about your gills. Like,
Oh, my gills. Yeah. So I have non-functional gills. All they do is give me superhuman drowning powers.
That's wild. That's like Beak in X-Men. How he's a bird, but he just can't fly.
He can't fly. Poor Beak.
It's like, man, you got all the looks of a bird person, none of the, you get the brittle bones of a bird, but can't fly.
Can't fly. So not only are we going to show you why there should be a law against them, but we're going to make you listen to why there should be a law against them.
Against off-brand Tool songs?
Amongst other things.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. I paid $20 for that. It's for my Wolverine video. And I'm just like, I don't know. I just wanted to get my money's worth before I actually use it for the video. So
that's fair. I will say that when it your off-brand Tool song led into the Forced Adversity opening, I'm like, that was actually a smooth transition.
Thank you. I mean, I do have background in the old audio and making music thing, and I like to think that I do music with my video essays, that I implement that pretty well. That's one thing I'll give myself a pat on the back for.
Give yourself 2 pats on the back, because I'm somewhere else, so I can't give you one.
I see a lot of videos where I'm like, this is a great video. I wish they implemented their music a little bit better, kind of thing. But you know what? Nobody's perfect. So
it's true. That's true.
Yeah, superpowers that make them drown. Yes.
Yeah, I have super drowning powers. If you put me in water, I will drown.
Yep. So we, today we're going to talk. Well, last week we were supposed to talk about it, but somebody flaked out. Oh, that was me.
I wasn't going to throw you under the bus.
That was me. No, I totally flaked last week. That was my bad. I was just super duper tired, and I'd rather give you guys a good show and be able to, focus as well as my ADHD addled brain can, rather than just kind of like zoned out and and this is a special one. It's for a couple reasons, because one is it's one of the first ones that idea that I had, as far as if I was going to do a podcast about stuff that branching off of the comics code thing, right? I was like, what else could there be? Oh, well, there'd be the explicit lyrics label.
Yeah,
which is what we're talking about. Everybody knows what it is. Everybody's seen it. You've probably had some shirt or a sticker maybe with it. Who knows?
It's merchandise to hell and back, like posters.
And too bad the people responsible for it didn't get it copyrighted, because they might be rich. Oh wait, some of them already
were.
are.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
Funny. Some of their husbands would go on to, make a lot of money talking about the climate change and, brave attempt, to try and get people
some
to
of
take
them
that
will
seriously.
go on to do much less savory things than that.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking about politicians of the 90s or 80s. Sorry. And then, how did these people get elected? Well, spoiler, they didn't.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've just got to find some more of this stuff that I just realized that I didn't have everything that I should have open for it.
Oh.
So let's vamp.
Let's vamp. So this is the League of Extraordinary Karens.
Yeah. It's like if Karens just were it literally is just Karens that are married to power.
Right. That's why they're the Extraordinary Karens.
God.
Yeah. This one's kind of wild. Also, our good guys in this one are kind of wild too, because we get some probably our most famous cast of good guys, right? Like,
oh yeah, the Avengers that show up here, the Justice League or whatever, they're pretty.
yeah,
It's pretty wild. It's like a special moment in history. That's like, holy shit, how did this happen?
yeah, up to with some fabulous costumes too.
True. So yeah, we'll get started on that here in just a second. It's back to the '80s, and we're probably going to keep going back here because it's a lot of stuff happened then.
There was this guy, they called him the Gipper, and he did a lot of bad stuff, and that's bad stuff that continues to have repercussions to this very day.
The Gipper, that was Reagan, right?
Yeah, it's Reagan.
Okay. Makes sense.
One of America's most famous gender-neutral bathrooms.
What now?
Well, his final resting place is one of America's
I see.
famous gender-neutral bathrooms. Yeah.
Yeah. And he was president for 8 years.
Yep.
I think he was cognizant of about 6 of those.
That's generous of you, but probably somewhere in there.
Well, I'm just erring on the side of caution. Like, how many years was Nancy actually running the show? It's not clear.
It's not clear.
But
though not the only president to have the first lady seize power that way. Woodrow Wilson. The historians believe that his wife took power when he was ill, and just kind of hid him away, and somehow ran a long game on the rest of the country.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's what I've read. I don't know exactly how true that is, because you can't trust half of what you read on a good day.
Oh, I've been trusting about half. That's probably too much, I guess.
It might be too much. Yeah.
Whoopsie doo. Yeah. So then, if you guys remember the ad little promo spot that I was showing for this episode, then you know what to expect here. But if not, then well, hide your kids.
Yeah. I guess a content warning for some occasional spicy lyrics.
Yeah,
and for some definite cringe ones.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, there's a couple. There's one in particular. It's like, is it more cringe than spicy? It's hard to tell. Like,
it's way more cringe than spicy.
Fair enough. All right. So yeah, if you remember this.
How bad can it get? The list is endless. This album was released just recently by a band called The Mentors. It was released on the the label Enigma Records, which also launched.
It's funnier to know that this guy is a preacher. So like they called in a preacher to help them make their case. Well, like why these lyrics are so bad and stuff like that. And yeah, we'll get into it. But yeah, just know that he's a preacher, and this is something he had to do. Get up in front of a
congressional panel.
Yeah, congressional panel that has no real power, and yeah.
Okay, Cruz career. The album includes songs like 4F Club, Finder, Feeler, Fucker, and Forgetter, Free Fix for a Fuck, Clap Queen, My Erection is Over, and the song Golden Showers, which says these words: listen, you little slut, do as you are told, come with daddy for me to pour the gold. Golden showers, all through my excrements you shall roam. Bend up and smell my anal vapor. Your face is my toilet paper. On your face I leave a shit tower. Golden showers. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my remarks. I thank you.
So
who's clapping?
I
want to know. I like that guy. I want to know who's clapping back there.
It was John Denver.
It could have been.
He was like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Freedom. That doesn't mean the same thing to you that it means to me.
Right.
There's room for interpretation here.
I love when it. You know what it reminds me of is Benny Shapiro when he reads the WAP lyrics.
Oh yeah, I made a thing about that. Did you see that? Yeah,
I did.
So that was the promo ad that I made, was like intercut those two things. And what did I do with that?
Promo.
Did I throw that away, or hopefully not, because that's pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Because Benny,
it really was like it's almost like you and Willow were the ones that pointed it out. I think whenever we looked at that Mentors one, and I was like, holy shit, it's true. And like just the way that they read it matter of factly, as if like obviously all I have to do is read this, and anyone hearing it will hear how disgusting it is. And okay, now granted, that one is pretty disgusting.
It is, yeah.
I don't think there's many people, there are definitely a few, who would be just totally into lyrics that are about poo on someone like that. But still, I'm not like offended at like the existence of it, which is what the implication of these people tends to be. It's more just like, I don't want to listen to that. That's gross. Like, but that's the thing, right? It's like, it's not for me, so I'm not going to consume it. That includes that song and poo. So
neither of those things.
But yeah, it's a pretty special time here in the 80s. Let's get into it, because I've got like a 43-minute video, 44, that has the testimony of Dee Snider, Frank Zappa, and John Denver. We could probably kind of skim through that maybe later on.
Yeah.
But
I think hitting the highlights of their testimony is paramount to this.
So today I'm going to read it. We've already done this, by the way. Full disclosure, we've already done this episode. It was like the 4th or 5th one we recorded back, at the end of last year, and that might come out at some point in the future, the lost episodes or whatever. But like, we're doing it again, and you let me know when you think we should do the Tipper Gore experience. Yeah. So
I will.
But for now, what I'm going to start reading from this time, instead of last time where I used a couple of different I used like Wikipedia and then some historical articles or whatever. I'm reading right from Dee Snider's own words here.
There you go. The man himself.
It was summer of 1984, and my band Twisted Sister was taking the world by storm with our angst-filled teen anthem, We're Not Gonna Take It. We were dominating music, radio, and television airwaves and igniting the fire of rebellion in the hearts and minds of American youth. As we rode in our tour bus from town to town, playing show after show, little did we realize that a cultural guillotine awaited us. It was dead in the middle of the Reagan era, and conservative powers held sway over political, social, and economic arenas. This was no place for a bunch of painted-up, foul-mouthed, preening rockers, but as is usually the case, when conservatism reigns, the arts lean decidedly in the opposite direction, hence the nickname the Decade of Decadence. Loud and very proud, things were clearly headed for an impasse. The blowback came in a surprising form. The Parents Music Resource Center, PMRC. Quite an innocuous name for a subversive-minded group. Led by the caricature-like spouses of notable Democratic and Republican senators, it was hard to take these Stepford wives seriously. Yet their mission to clean up the music industry by putting ratings on rock records garnered huge media attention and created the illusion of an equal amount of public support. So that's something we should pause and kind of think about there, I think. There wasn't a real, this is about as inorganic as it could come, right? Like, there wasn't a real movement that rose up out of the people to say, you know what, our kids are listening to this music, it's terrible. You know what I mean? Like, those parents always exist, right? But like, there wasn't a movement that coalesced and demanded change. It was literally wives of men in power who, it just, and maybe there's more to it, but from what we've been able to see, it seems like they're just bored and looking for a cause to take up, kind of thing. And poor Tipper Gore, she had the unfortunate experience of hearing the song "Darling Nikki" by Prince, and she didn't like it.
Yep. So let's. I think we should do the Tipper Gore experience for that one.
Okay. Do we just read the lyrics or what?
Why don't you play it for the fine people at home? Just like the first 20 or whatever, if you're comfortable with that, without trying to offend the Google gods.
With music, it is especially
precarious.
It will definitely get a copyright claim.
Oh, okay, well, let's read the lyrics then.
I don't mind doing it because it's not like, gonna really affect my channel, I don't think. But I'm worried about doing it more than once, maybe. Like, if it thinks that I'm just playing a bunch of music for free.
Oh, okay. Just read the lyrics.
Okay. Or let me see. There might have a little what you call it, compromise.
Oh, I do love compromise. Big fan of compromise.
So we go to let's see, karaoke.
Oh, there we go.
And it might be good, it might not be, who knows. So this is actually in the style of Foo Fighters. The Foo Fighters did a cover of it, and it's pretty good from what I remember. It's been a long time since I listened to it, but so Darling Nikki in the style of Foo Fighters, karaoke.
So enjoy the lyrics in the way Tipper Gore would, as though you'd never heard this song before.
Yeah.
Really drags the intro out.
Oh, so when it says
It's
karaoke, it
karaoke,
literally
it's
just
sing
means-
along.
But I mean, usually the karaoke videos will have the lyrics on it at least. So let's see. Does it have the lyrics here? No. All right. Fucking A. We should have
Boo.
Boo me.
Dan, you're fired.
I'm booed. All right. Here's the lyrics. How about that?
All right, let's do the lyrics. Yeah. So otherwise, you can listen along. Like you can look it up on your own, play it on another tab or something, and try and find what may have gotten Tipper Gore so upset.
Yeah.
Because I think this is the song that sort of starts this whole, or that she says started this whole thing. I'm sure we'll get into.
Right. So it goes, I knew a girl named Nikki. I guess you could say she was a sex fiend. I met her in a hotel lobby, masturbating with a magazine. She said, how'd you like to waste some time? And I could not resist when I saw little Nikki grind. She took me to her castle, and I just couldn't believe my eyes. She had so many devices, everything that money could buy. She said, sign your name on the dotted line. The lights went out, and Nikki started to grind. Okay, so consent is good.
Yeah.
Literally, Nikki is having him consent to all this, and that's good. You know, I mean, of course, signing documents is a little weird.
It's a smidgen, but when you go to Nikki's castle, I guess,
Yeah, she's got all the things, all the devices money could buy. And in the 80s, who knows what that meant?
A really nice, toaster oven. A VCR.
Yeah, I know, Jeffrey. Are you guys okay? Are you offended? Did you hear the part about she was masturbating? That's crazy. In the 80s?
That hadn't been invented, recently.
So apparently Tipper Gore was I guess riding in the car or something with her daughter, and
that's her story.
And this song came on, and it's she just basically had a freaking meltdown and started a inorganic moral panic.
Yep.
There's some song lyrics for you. So yeah, that's really about it as far as that's the most. Yeah, there's really nothing else that's even. There's some stuff about grinding and coming soon. The Lord. I'm fine because I know that the Lord is coming soon.
Maybe the Lord is gonna stop by to pick up a package. Maybe he's working UPS delivery, right? Needs a second gig.
Either way, I mean, even if it's just saying that the Lord is coming, then that's actually a good message, right?
Yeah, I think
Don't they want the Lord to come?
I think they do. Either definition of come, right? I
mean, yeah. So I really don't see what's wrong with it, other than that the listener.
It's horny.
Yeah. Well, and horny songs make people horny, apparently.
Do they? Is that a thing?
No, it's not really. I mean.
Oh, okay.
Nope. So
if I wouldn't know. I've never had a song do that to me, but if someone was like, "Yeah, this song makes me horny," I'd be like, "Okay."
So yeah, like it said here, it got a lot of just the the build up to the hearings got a lot of media attention, which made people think that there was an equal amount of people that were supporting this measure of like, we need to, and at first, by the way, they were wanting to put like, what was it? I think big labels over the entire album or something like that. Like what ended up happening was the sticker that we all know. That's the best outcome, honestly, out of this whole thing, because some of the things that were pitched were kind of crazy.
Well, and I think that if I recall, the recording industry had already settled on that label.
Yes,
before the hearing ever happened.
Yep. So the hearing was literally just a dog and pony show to drum up, I guess, probably attention for themselves and their husbands. I don't know.
Right.
But hey, look, here's one good thing about it. You had Democrats and Republicans working together to achieve a goal.
Bipartisan compromise on.
If you can fucking believe it, that was a real thing that happened. On something really stupid, but hey,
something really stupid. Well, and I think it goes to show how, it's easy to think that the parties haven't changed over the last, 40 years, but I don't see Democratic politicians taking this all that seriously today.
No.
And I also think there's probably a segment of Republicans that would be like, what?
Well, so let's actually put this in a political context a little bit, because now that I'm thinking about it, because you mentioned how the Gipper, and in the 80s, yeah, we went kind of rightward.
For sure.
Just culturally, socially, obviously politically, economically, it was not great.
It was a mess.
And there was a bit of pullback and whatnot. There was the punk scene. There was various cultural things that were happening that we're not gonna take it. So to speak.
Yeah.
But then the 80s and 90s, the 90s come along, and it wasn't much better at first. Like, you think about the Democrat that was in office was a fucking Arkansas governor who, I think maybe the only thing that made him a Democrat was that he was like pro-choice or something.
Yeah.
Like Bill Clinton. It's like, so even the Democrat that we were able to get elected was still pretty fucking rightward.
Yeah.
His wife, we know a little bit about her and her war hawking and, other cringe policies and whatnot. So like when we think about the fact that the only way the Democrats also, they stayed pretty rightward, even though they were the left, right? Well, like, and you look at now,
right.
Biden is not a leftist. He's not, he's barely progressive, and on some things he's just not. Like the other day, he got called out for lying fucking properly. That dumb Twitter thing that sometimes doesn't work actually did work, where it gives context for when somebody's saying something untrue. Because he was like, I support, or he said, from the POTUS account, he said, I believe that healthcare is not a privilege, it's a right. And then the thing like, and then the thing says, President Biden has never supported universal health care.
And like, say, I wish you would, but you don't, or you haven't. Yeah. Maybe he's. And I will say that, like,
he said he would veto any bill that came to his desk about it. Of universal health care. So, like, no, he's not for. He doesn't really believe that. No. He wants to expand the Affordable Care Act, which, like, yeah, that's been great so far, but it's not
depending
enough.
On where you are.
Right. Yeah, it's not enough. We need a federal fucking just like blanket federal thing.
Yeah.
Single payer.
Amusingly, I think a lot of like our current Medicaid system with the whole block grant system, like infrastructure where they just funnel states money that they can do whatever they want with, comes from this time period too.
Maybe. I'm not sure. I don't know those details. You're probably right. But I mean, I'm just saying maybe it's I'm not saying that we should be happy with the Democrats we have. We shouldn't be happy with them. However, most of them maybe don't seem to be as ready to go right with the right as they did seem to be back then. Of course, at least they were still on the fucking playing field back then.
Right. They're still in,
They're like
they're
in reality generally.
Diamond.
Yeah. They're like, now they're playing some other sport on another planet. And it's.
So the Republicans live, in a different universe. They're whatever reality they're experiencing is not the one we all live in.
Yeah.
So we also think like when it comes to like Biden, I think like 1990s Biden would have a heart attack if he saw the stuff that 2020s Biden was pushing for.
Yeah, you're talking about was all for the what was it the freaking what was the prison thing that
all the crime bill stuff.
Yeah, the crime bill stuff. He was all on board on that shit. He was pushing it,
he was a big proponent of it.
And he's spoken against that now, thankfully. And to some people that's not enough, that's not good enough, and he shouldn't be in office. And it's like, okay, fair enough, but still, I whether or not he's saying these things for political reasons or because he genuinely believes it, it doesn't really fucking matter. What matters
those are the same thing.
Yeah, what he does is what he does, and he has done a few things that really are just kind of bare bones. Nonetheless, this is not a fucking Biden support group, right? This is just saying that it's important to compare modern political dynamics to then, and there's a lot of things that are similar, and then the deeper you look, the more you compare, you realize kind of how crazy things are right now.
Yeah, this was a time when Republicans believed in gun control and Democrats were very anti or very pro like cultural establishments and norms.
Yep. Yeah, it's been a gradual, steady and gradual kind of like just a partisan walling off that's happened over the course of decades where, back in like the 70s and something like that, there was like there were Republicans that were pro-choice and shit.
Yeah.
And it's just one by one, everybody gets more entrenched. Every issue becomes more entrenched to the point where we're at now, where like we're already entrenched, starkly divided. The only direction it could go apparently for Republicans was crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, dealing with that anyway. So let's see. All right. So by the summer of 1985, the PMRC's censorship symphony had reached a crescendo, and it was announced there would be an illegal Senate hearing to discuss. And I like how he managed to put illegal in there. I don't know if it's I mean, I guess it is right, because a Senate hearing has to be called by the Senate, right?
I think this was called by one of their spouses, but I think that's
not how it's supposed to work.
Their spouses were the senators, but like,
oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that this was, everyone knows who's really running the show in this ordeal. And also, the record labels were kind of in on it in some ways, but were looking to use this as a distraction from other business practices they were up to. And so they were happy to engage in the circus.
He goes on to explain what he means there by that. So
perfect. You can correct me then.
No, I think you're pretty much right. He just gives the details of what he was thinking. So, he says let's see. They didn't call it illegal. I did. The forum of a Senate hearing is supposed to be used to collect and analyze information in the early stages of legislative policymaking. As the committee chair, John Danforth, Republican, said in his opening remarks, the reason for this hearing is not to promote any legislation. Seems pretty clear.
So it is a waste of taxpayer dollars, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yep. Still, somehow the wives of some pretty prominent politicians convinced their husbands that the exception should be made. One can only imagine the pillow talk between Tipper and Al Gore or Susan and James Baker that led to this misuse of public funds. Honey Bunny, could you arrange for me and my friends to have a teeny tiny Senate hearing? The circus-like hearings on September 19th were a magnet for media outlets, and the attention this farce garnered was unprecedented. No matter which side you stood on, it seemed everyone, except unfortunately most of the young music fans actually affected by this travesty, wanted to watch this car wreck of injustice, and that's just what it was. But unbeknownst to the general public and to the artists set to testify, the RIAA, the music industry's trade group lobbying arm, had already made a side deal with the senators and the PMRC, agreeing to a voluntary modified label, the now legendary warning, parental advisory, in place of the Washington Wives' demand for more content-specific labeling. Like more, originally they wanted more like what TV has now, or where it's like V for violence, S for sexual content, O for occult.
What?
And I remember whenever we recorded this before, we talked about that a bit, about how like a cult just becomes anything that they think sounds kind of like.
Yeah, it's so vague. What is a cult?
It's non-Christian is what it means.
Right.
It's fucking yeah. So
yeah,
this
nowadays anything that's not like Christian rock would be a cult in the minds of swaths of the population.
Yep. So yeah, that was what they wanted. What the RIAA agreed to, the compromise that they agreed to before these hearings happened, was the sticker that we all know and love. I don't know. I mean,
it's iconic,
and it's helped me. Honestly, it's helped me find some music. I'm not saying that all music that has bad language is good music, but when I was younger, it definitely helped me find music that felt more like I was choosing it because it was a rebellious thing to do. And there's some value in that when you're young. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like everybody should experience some of that, I think.
You should, push your boundaries if you're young. Just, don't do anything too dangerous, but
Well, I mean, I think that's within the bounds of like something where you can kind of say, fuck my parents that don't want me to listen to this, and then it's harmless generally.
Yeah, listening to music is harmless.
But there are things like, fuck my parents not wanting me to burn the school down. I'm going to do that. Don't do that.
That's your bet. Yeah, don't. That one, if you're looking to do that, personal advice, don't.
So, it's essentially negated any effort the unholy trinity of Frank Zappa, John Denver, and himself, Dee Snider, invited there to speak on behalf of the artists might make, and made their being there moot. There was no way for them to win. Yet I did welcome the opportunity to show the PMRC that the Senate subcommittee and the Senate subcommittee how you should not judge a book by its heavy metal cover. Their indignant reactions to my 80s rock star look and their dropped jaws when I proceeded to take every one of their arguments apart were priceless. I urge you to watch it at cspan.org. Let's see. And then
I think we should pull it up and play it.
Yeah, I want
that clip at least, or at least a clip of it.
Yeah, let's do that because it's pretty amazing, really.
Yeah.
Each one of them is really interesting because, there's Dee Snider, who they clearly thought that by inviting the Dee Snider in particular, that they were going to get some drunken, foul-mouthed idiot, rock star in there to just like, look, he's making our case for us. You know what I mean?
But that's not what happens. It turns out when you bring a professional speaker, which is, what a musician is, right? Like,
yeah,
it is harder than professional speaking because you have to do it, with music and in verse. Turns out they're pretty articulate when they want to be.
So yeah, imagine, I bet till the moment, maybe a few seconds into him speaking, they were probably still just like sitting there smug, like,
right.
And then, because look at him, you'll see when he walks in here in a second, like, it looks like everything they probably wanted. Whoops. Get out of here. Take forever.
Jeebus.
Is this also a Christian group?
I don't believe that profanity has anything to do with Christianity. Thank you.
It's just an interesting choice because I was getting the impression from your presentation that you were a very wholesome kind of performer, and that is an interesting title for your fan club. In Surge, you say your song Under the Blade is about surgery. Have you ever had surgery with your hands tied and your legs strapped?
The song was written about my guitar player, Eddie Ojeda. He was having polyps removed from his throat, and he was very fearful of this operation. And I said, Eddie, while you're in the hospital, I'm going to write a song for you. I said it was about the fear of operations. I think people imagine being helpless on a table, the bright light in their face, the blade coming down on them, and having totally afraid that they may wake up, who knows, dead, handicapped. There's a certain fear of hospitals. That's in my imagination, what I see the hospitals like.
Is there a reference to the hospital in the song?
No, there isn't, but there isn't a reference to a woman, sadomasochism, or bondage, yes, I'm sorry.
There's just a reference to someone whose hands are tied down and whose legs are strapped down, and he's going under the blade to be cut.
Yes, there is.
All right. So it's not really a wild leap of the imagination to jump to the conclusion that that's about something other than surgery or hospitals, neither of which are mentioned in the song.
No, it's not a wild jump, and I think what I said in one part was that songs allow a person to put their own imagination, experiences, and dreams into the lyrics. People can interpret it many ways. Ms. Gore was looking for sadomasochism and bondage, and she found it. Someone looking for surgical references would have found it as well.
Yeah.
Said that to her husband too.
Yep.
He's fucking amazing. You know, if hey, that's what she was looking for. She found it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just the like, he thought he had something. He's like, is there a reference to any hospital in this lyrics? And he's like, no, but there's also not any reference to a woman, to rape, to, you know, it's
right.
Like, it's just, so why are you fucking thinking that that's the song's about?
Right.
Yeah.
Or why is your wife, who you were on here behalf of?
Right. Yeah. I think their prepared remarks that they have are generally pretty great, especially Zappa does really well. John Denver stuff is cool just because I think they expected John Denver to be the opposite of what they wanted Dee Snider to be.
Yeah.
I think they were like, oh, John Denver's this wholesome, you know, American folk singer. He's going to come in and say, oh, I don't like these lyrics. They're bad. And, you know.
And then he's like, yeah, I am a wholesome American singer, and that's why we should effing allow them, because that's American as fuck.
Yep. Yeah, his stuff's pretty good, but onward. He had to take a minute after that. He's like, I gotta do something else. I'm not getting upset about song lyrics. I'm gonna look and see what's going on with the climate. I don't know.
Right. That's why he gets started on the climate change. He just gets utterly destroyed by Dee Snider.
Dee Snider. Took him a while. It took him a couple decades to figure it out, but then he made a movie, and then everybody listened to what he was saying, and we changed everything, and now everything's good.
Does that happen?
No.
No.
That's not what happened. You know, look,
dream.
There's a lot of problems with Al Gore, but really, you know, he got a bad rap when that movie came out.
Yeah.
People should have listened. I didn't take it as seriously as I probably should have. So I don't think anybody, even progressives, were like, oh yeah, shut up, Al Gore. You know.
Well, I think, but yeah, by that point, we were all sick of him.
And he's just boring. It's like something about the way he speaks is just, you just want to fucking go to sleep.
And he's got a disease called, he's from Tennessee.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. I heard that's fatal.
Yeah. You will die of that eventually.
Especially like if you, you know, are a child in a school. Moving on.
Oh my God. Yeah. Let's move on.
There's so much sadomasochism and bondage in some of these new songs.
I cannot speak for the other artists. I can really am only here to defend myself, and hopefully by speaking for myself as one person, songwriter in a band that I feel has been unjustly dumped on, that will just warn us of the dangers of what we're trying to do here. I really can't speak for the other bands.
Now, you made reference to a comment about T-shirts. I would simply note for the record that the word T-shirts was in plural, and one of them referred to a twisted sister, and the other referred to a woman in handcuffs, and was not intended, as I understand it, to say that you appear with a woman in handcuffs. In fact, there are a lot of different T-shirts and advertisements In fact, I've noticed from some of the fan magazines of particularly heavy metal that little sadomasochistic outfits are advertised with the fingerless gloves and spikes and studs on them, and that these little S&M outfits are marketed to teens and preteens. Is that correct?
Well, they are marketed. Who buys them, I'm not sure.
Well, that's an interesting thing to come up because we've had some of that recently, right?
Yeah.
Or at least the claims of that.
Right.
Target had their whole, what was it? They were selling like little baby, was it what fucking bindings and S&M gear or some shit? I don't know.
No. Okay. So I can clear that up a little bit, as it were. So Target was selling in certain locations and online binders, which, if you don't know, that is what people can use who have breasts to reshape their breasts to make them less prominent.
It's what like AFABs wear to reduce their feminine looks. Yeah.
Right. Or even trans femmes who want to obscure the fact they have had some recent growths for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So there are, the other thing was that for adults, they had feminine swimsuits that had space to tuck, which is if you are a person with a penis, you can use it to hide the penis. So it's not just bulging out there for, everyone to see.
See, you'd think that Republicans would like that. Like, maybe they want to see penis. Who knows?
They're very obsessed with genitals.
Anyway, well, yeah. So it's just kind of crazy that I'm willing to bet that this stuff that Al Gore is talking about was also not marketed towards young people like teens and stuff like that.
I can't imagine it was.
Sure. I'd just like to say, in reference to the comment about T-shirts, I have with me a taped cassette of the exact.
No, I'm reading from your transcript of it in your statement.
I have to check the transcript, but again, I'll say when it was said, there was no question she was referring to a Twisted Sister T-shirt. There was no question if I played the tape for anybody.
In your own transcript, it's plural T-shirts, and 2 examples are cited. But I don't want to belabor that point. Now, you said that you can look at the titles of albums and look at the covers and tell what kind of material is inside. Does the title Purple Rain give you an indication that the material is about masturbation?
You mean the album title, Purple Rain?
Yeah.
The song title.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. I didn't say in all cases. I believe I covered that. Those occasional albums that are a bit misleading. That, like I said, I don't think a store would refuse.
Is Purple Rain about masturbating? I have to look that up.
What? Yeah.
A parent who came in and said, I don't like what's on this record. I would like my money back.
So the choice the parent has then is to sit down and listen to every song on the album, right?
Or read the lyrics if they're on the record.
What if they're not on the? I think there's pretty general agreement that if the lyrics are printed, that's one possible solution for this. Let's suppose the lyrics aren't printed. Then what choice does a parent have? To sit down and listen to every?
Let's keep in mind how fucking disingenuous that is to say that, because I'm certain he already is aware that this deal has already been made.
Right.
So with that context behind all this, it's just such a fucking farce.
Right. Literally up there grandstanding to get famous, right? It's So I found it. Purple Rain, according to Prince, means when there's blood in the sky, because red and blue equals purple.
Okay. Yeah, that doesn't mean masturbating.
No. So just Al Gore fucking up there making shit up, like you do.
Yeah, like Al Gore does for sure, apparently.
Right.
That's silly. Now, Darling Nikki, on the other hand, which was a Prince song, definitely partially about masturbating.
Oh, for sure.
But, you know, it also uses the word masturbating. So.
Right. So,
Song on the album?
Well, if they're really concerned about it, I think that they have to.
Do you think that's reasonable to expect parents to do that?
Being a parent isn't a reasonable thing. It's a very hard thing. I'm a parent and I know. Okay, I'm a new parent. I only have one child maybe, but I'm learning that there's a lot to being a parent that you didn't expect. It's not just, oh, isn't baby cute? There's a lot of labor, a lot of time, and a lot of effort that goes into it. It's not totally pleasurable.
Yeah, and you'll find when they get a little bit older that when they're exposed to the kinds of themes that we were presented with earlier, that if you love your child, you're going to be concerned about that. And if you want to protect that child from unnecessary...
If you want to protect your child from, you know, harmful shit, you explain to them harmful shit and what they need to be concerned about or worried about, not just like fucking hide them from it. It's ridiculous.
So can you pull up Jeffrey Brown's comments?
Yeah.
Most recent one. I have a brain thing now that I have to get out of my head. So yeah, I would like to know what his thoughts on those people are too. But also now I want to go on a road trip with Al Gore and just play nothing but Rasputin for 8 hours while we drive across country and watch Al Gore slowly go insane.
Hell yeah. I don't know Rasputin.
It's the lover of the Russian queen.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know who like 3 of those are. I don't know who Boney M. Well, no, I don't. I know very well.
Boney M is the guy who sings Rasputin. Queen is Queen.
I see.
David Bowie is David Bowie.
I don't know who Suits. Is that Susie in the Banshees?
That one I don't know. Yeah.
All right.
Now I have some music to listen to later.
Exposure to inappropriate material, you sometimes need a little help, the kind of guidance that is presented in the movie industry, and it is totally unreasonable, in my view, to expect parents to come and sit down and listen to every single song in the albums that their children buy in order to fulfill their responsibilities as parents. Now, the only thing that I felt at all comfortable about in your statement was when you said that you shared some of the concerns of the PMRC. I would simply hope that, or end by expressing the hope, because my time has expired, that artists and record companies will find a way to manifest that concern in some self-restraint and show of responsibility to give parents a break. You're right, it's tough being a parent. It's even tougher being a kid. And if both are...
Don't, you know, this motherfucker.
Yeah.
You don't talk about how hard it is being a kid whenever, like, again, as he said there, I hope that the artists are already cut out of the fucking picture. You're just
right.
Fucking,
you've already made the deal. And also, yeah, I feel like you as a parent have some responsibility to know what your kid is into. Like,
but it's not like, yeah,
not hard.
If you know, it's well, I mean, of course, nowadays it's way easier, actually, I would think, because, you know, if you don't have to sit and listen, you can go, what music are you listening to? You know,
you can look at the lyrics and stuff.
And then or you can just look up the artist and be like, is this, you know, was this cool for kids or what? Or, you know, what's in this? And it's not that time consuming as having to go through and listening to all the lyrics or anything. But even then, like, if you feel like your kids are listening to something that you don't think is like that's pretty mature for them, or that's weird that they shouldn't be, you know, talk to them. Like,
just have a conversation.
Talking to kids is like the one thing that parents almost never want to do. Like, talk to them like they're human beings,
right?
Not just you know, little pets that you have to, you know.
Well, yeah, this is, I mean, really, well, okay, it is about covering a backroom deal, or covering up a backroom deal with all this circus, but the point he is saying he's making is that we should take responsibility away from parents and make that our decision.
Yep. Pretty much. And then also fuck the artists.
and fuck the artists.
So let's see. I think it goes on to who talks to him next. Oh God, is that what's his name?
I don't know.
Baker?
Is that Baker?
Give them a little help. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Rockefeller.
Oh, it's a Rockefeller.
Oh,
Mr. Snyder, how would you, do you feel that you have a responsibility as an artist in terms of those words that you write, a responsibility for those who would hear those words?
I feel a tremendous responsibility, and as I said, I don't put anything down on a record that I can't stand behind in my beliefs 100%. I don't sing about drugs, sex, alcohol, because I don't advocate sexism, the use of drugs, and drinking. So I don't write about those things. I only write about things I believe in.
And that's the way you define what your responsibility is? That is not to write about things that you don't believe in?
Yeah, that's how I define my responsibility, to write about things that you can stand behind. I feel myself to be a moral person, and I think that I have a lot of positive things to tell people about. And everything, like I said, on my records, I will stand there and say, yes, I wrote those words, and this is what it meant, and this is what I was trying to say, yes.
Do you think that parents, not only those who are in PMRC, but other parents who are concerned
Can you pause?
Here and across the country about...
Okay, so there's a little sleight of hand I want to point out he does there. Where he talks about, he equivocates parents in the PMRC versus the rest of parents. The PMRC is like half a dozen spouses of politicians.
Mm-hmm.
Like he says that group, their concerns are equivalent or of the same value to
right.
all parents.
Well, you know, what's fucked up is that they probably did pick up some support in the lead up to this because the media was covering it. And, you know, like people were thinking that, you know, it's kind of like how right now, and we'll be talking about this Wednesday on the initiative. And we've got a special guest for that in case you missed it at the beginning. We got Pillar of Garbage on this week. But we're going to be talking a bit about The Sound of Freedom, this Jim Caviezel movie that's out. That is apparently outselling Dial of Destiny, Indiana Jones 3-1. It's beating it in the theaters. It's just like making all this money. It's just so great. It's such a great movie. It's really not. It's astroturfed through a pay it forward scheme that they've been doing. And that it is you know, just like all conservative shit these days, it's all fucking, you know, falsely inflated to because that's the only way they can create any kind of buzz about what they're doing. When in fact the movie is it's a QAnon movie.
Oh God.
Jim Caviezel, we need to cover him. He's straight up fucking Q pilled now. He goes to Q meetings and does speeches about adrenochrome and shit. It's crazy, but like they actually now have the guy who played Jesus is going to save them from the evil liberals. And you know, it's reality is folding in on itself, folks, and it's really disturbing. But yeah, so we're going to look at that and the bullshit. Matt Jarbo did some investigating last night. We've got some investigating going on in the initiative right now. We'll have.
Oh, that's what he was talking about. I saw it scrolling through. I'm like, I don't know what this is reference to because this movie, like,
yeah,
you know, for it outselling Dial of Destiny. I know people who have seen Dial of Destiny. I have plans to see it in a few weeks. Mm-hmm. I had never heard of this movie or anyone who has seen it.
And that's exactly what it is, because I hadn't either until like 2 days ago. Then suddenly everybody's talking about it. And it's like, wait a second. That's not how these things go. That is not how the movies are become, you know, sudden, you know, game changers or whatever the hell. It's literally just the most artificial thing I've seen in quite some time. Well, you know, since ISOM, basically. And
this is probably more AstroTurf than ISOM, though.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think there's just generally some wonky marketing going on with ISOM. With this, I mean, there's that, but it's also just the you look at how they did the ticketing, where it's like literally just basically a pay it forward scheme, and they're buying tickets for people or whatever, and then we'll have the details later in the week. But
interesting. Well, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
So back to this. Thanks, Will.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So back to current weirdos and this guy's glasses. I'm gonna make fun of his glasses just because I'm a petty bitch that way.
Okay.
They're ugly.
They're 80s glasses.
They're
for sure.
very 80s glasses.
Yeah, they were all about the brown big plastic frames then.
Yep.
Let's see what else is garbage he says.
Mm-hmm.
The development of new trends in music and the lyrics that go along with that music are naive or
by the way, real quick, Charles, you should get up in the Discord if you can, in the initiative Discord, and work with us on getting some of those numbers straight, man. We appreciate it. Let's figure out what's going on with this fucking movie, this bullshit. Yeah, it's QAnon film. They literally say the storm is upon us in the movie, which is a QAnon thing, and Jim Caviezel is just so that's what it is. Sorry, back to this show.
Somehow missing the point. Do you think that they're unduly worried about some of the developments and writings about sadomasochism, suicide, rape, other things? I mean, do you think that's really not that serious a problem for this country and our young people?
That's like sort of a multiple question. I don't think they're naive, and I don't think that at times they're unduly worried, but I do think sometimes they take it overly serious. I mean, there are monster movies on all the time. They've been going on for ages, and people watch a monster movie and they get scared and they walk away, and it was just a movie. Rock and roll, and many times, is the same thing, trying to get an effect either of laughter, of sadness. A lot of the heavy metal bands are trying to scare people and just make them just like a horror movie. Vincent Price isn't getting have problems because he's done all these monster pictures. He's just an actor. I'm not going to say I'm just an actor, but I am entertaining people, and a lot of these bands are entertaining people. And when they were reading some of these lyrics before, I couldn't help but laugh. I mean, I hadn't heard some of them, but some of the lyrics were ridiculously ridiculous. I mean, and even a kid reading that, I think would go, oh my God, what's going on? It's ridiculous. The only word I could think of. Some of the lyrics.
The vehemence with which you attacked Senator Gore's wife.
Oh, wow. Okay, hold on.
He's like, you hurt my friend's wife's feelings.
That wasn't an attack. That was an observation. If you found that it is an attack, it means it hit home, right? Like, I hate to be like you're telling on yourself there, but it sounds a lot like you're telling on yourself. Also, I want to sort of highlight here, because I think D hits on such a great point that, like, by this point, horror movies are not a new phenomena. No. And I think this is just trying to, once again, hit that, this is a new thing we can be upset about, rather than, like, you couldn't pull this off with a horror movie because everyone's going to go, like, dumb fucking movie. Who cares? Or maybe it's not a dumb fucking movie. Maybe it's just a movie.
Literally in the 80s, at this time, you had HBO, Showtime. You had even, I think, was it USA that would show horror movies late at night and stuff like. There was this stuff. Horror movies were much more disturbing to me as a kid. By the way,
oh yeah,
I was into both. I was into rock music and horror movies as a kid, and like, and when I say disturbing, I mean that they would upset me, and then I would want more. Like I wasn't like long term upset by it, but I would be like, oh my God, that's fucking terrifying. And then I realized it was just it's an experience. It's a movie. It's like I told you before the stream that I had never been on a roller coaster, but it's the same kind of thing. It's a controlled environment where you're safe, but you get to feel some feelings about stuff.
Right.
And
I would say, like you said before, a song is even less impactful because it's just an audio medium. You don't have the whole experience, and
in many cases, the lyrics are not clear about what's being said. Sure, a lot of people might take the same, thing from certain lyrics that are suggestive, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's not as explicit as seeing shit happen on a screen or whatever. So yeah.
Excuse me. And so for some context, when Dee's talking about horror movies in the 80s, like this is the era of Alien, right? Aliens comes out a year after this.
Yeah. Yep.
Alien came out a few years before it. Like, and those are some horror movies that have, ooh.
Yeah, there was at the time. Thank you, Jeffrey. You had HBO had Tales from the Crypt. There was Nightmare on Elm Street. It was already into like its third or fourth movie at that point. The Thing was out. They Live. Prince of Darkness. Yep. Aliens, Predator. I don't know if Aliens was or Predator wasn't out yet. That didn't
Predator
come
wasn't out yet. No,
but yeah, generally there was a lot of stuff that was just far more, potentially. If we're going to take the assumption that this stuff can damage some child or something like that, which is not anything that's ever been proven, and in fact, it's been disproven.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's silly.
It's one of those things that, like, you could, if you take them at their word that this is what they're concerned about, they're still wrong.
Whoa. Okay, so let's get through some more of this. The good parts of the other two guys too.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to take a little bit at the end of the show to talk about Sound of Freedom, if that's
sure.
Okay. All right, because
I would like to be educated on that. It sounds like Willis Greedia has the deets.
He's got it. He's on top of it, as I knew he would be if I asked. And then it's just really kind of a right now kind of situation, and I'm like already kind of like, man, we got to wait until Wednesday to cover it, but yeah.
We can give it some show time here. I don't have an issue with that. Yeah.
So I didn't realize. Let's just try and get to their closing statements. How about that?
Okay, sure.
And I don't know who this. That was a Rockefeller. You said, huh?
Yeah.
Did they not have closing? Like, I thought they just got to speak for a few minutes.
I believe that they did. Let me hit the YouTubes and
see what I can find. So this shouldn't, yeah. Frank Zappa has a lot of bass clips, by the way. Here's here's John Denver. Let's see what John Denver says.
If I recall, his testimony is kind of amazing.
Pretty good. I mean, we're talking about the Country Roads guy, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's a good song.
It is a good song.
Speaking of aliens, it is part of the movie Alien Covenant. It is like a big part of the plot.
Dad, I have not seen that one.
It's
because I saw, what's it called? Prometheus, and was just whelmed.
Yeah.
That was the movie of all. That was the most movie I had seen in a while. It was very much a movie.
Alien Covenant was like if Prometheus at the end gave promise for a movie that I really wanted to see that didn't happen.
Right.
And then Alien Covenant's just basically like, well, okay, the studio doesn't want us to do that again, but we do want to follow up. I do want to follow up on that because I'm Ridley Scott and I do what I want.
Right.
And so it's kind of, you get a follow-up to Prometheus and a return somewhat to Alien kind of thing in lore at the same time, and it's just splitting the difference, and it's not great.
Because it's a prequel to Alien, isn't it? Like they're both prequels. Okay.
Yes. But you do get Fassbender telling another Fassbender, "I'll do the fingering." So, there's that.
Humana.
Yeah. The equally disappointed two halves of the fan base, right? Yeah. I mean, just pick one. I would have much preferred a sequel to Prometheus or than what it is. You know what I mean? And I'm not. I did like Prometheus a lot. I defended it a bit whenever it came out, but over time, I has some real problems script-wise with this.
I think the thing with Prometheus that lost me the most, like the moment the movie was over for me, is when I think it's Charlize Theron's character is running.
Yeah,
she wouldn't turn, and it's just like, oh my god, because she runs for like a minute and a half straight because they want to probably show her butt, and
she even stops to turn around and stand there for a second,
stand there, look at it, right, just like. We saw it in theaters, a buddy of mine, and I'm just like, I don't even remember what happens after that in the movie because I was just like, nope, this movie has now lost me. This was the dumbest thing I've seen.
pretty much right after that, the engineer shows up and beats the shit out of David and knocks Numi Rapace around, and then then she runs from it, and she hits the button on the door, and the thing that she birthed earlier in the movie that
the
seemed
not
like
alien,
it's big now and it eats them, and then
there you go.
that ends up in the post-credit stinger, ends up birthing what seems to be almost kind of a xenomorph, but not really.
Sure, it's like a xenomorph's first cousin.
Yeah, I mean, I did like all that stuff. The fact that it shows you kind of all these like fast evolution steps to what became the xenomorph.
Yeah,
almost. But yeah, it was a little bit too contrived.
Speaking of contrived, the PMRC, we got way in the weeds. My bad.
Yeah, are we not talking about? Oh, I thought we were talking about the what, Space Marines or something.
Oh, sure. Okay, we can do that. We can talk Space Marines.
All right, so here's John Denver. And yeah, keep in mind they probably wanted him to like defend them wanting to censor music, and that is not what they got.
Listen to too much of it, but it seems like the majority is otherwise. I think that the oral atmosphere developing in this particular hearing, that the committee's on trial and make darn sure we don't do nothing, or to transmit rather back to the original problem. Filth, pornography, suicide, all this other stuff coming.
Those are, pause.
The other gentleman's
flag on the play. What was that? Filth, rape, pornography, and suicide? Like, those are all radically different things, my friend.
Well, he's clearly like one of these, Christian country bumpkins. Like he's mad.
Sure.
What he started off saying, in case anybody missed that, is he's mad that they're having to justify the existence of the hearing. Basically, they're like,
right.
Because D. Snyder fucking successfully right out of the gate turned it back on them to almost make to make them look foolish for like, why are we even doing this?
Had they considered maybe doing something that wasn't so foolish?
Yeah, no, I mean, how else are they going to accumulate power without actually changing anything that betters anybody's lives?
Bribes and hitmen like everybody else? I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough.
Said, print the words. I rather like that. Since I wouldn't have to read it. He would read it one way, obviously, and I would read it differently. And there is that human error involved. Do you have any recommendation?
Subjectivity is human error.
Well, that's a very
EFAP thing to say. Yeah.
Damn. I wasn't gonna go there, but you're not wrong.
Yeah, just use your robot brain like Mahler. Be a robot. Anyway.
Well, if you can see my picture, I am a robot. So as a robot, I can tell you that robots can actually be subjective based on the data you feed them.
True.
Rather than just do nothing. I mean, you've talked in beautiful terms. You're the best I've seen on peace and the family. I'm not speaking facetiously, and the family and the responsibility and the wonderful human nature. And I'm with you on the stars. We're both supporters of Cousteau, and I've authored in this particular committee the oceanography programs. Barring all of that, are you saying do nothing?
No, sir, I'm not saying do nothing, and that is exactly why I'm here and why I applaud this hearing and applaud what these ladies, what the PMRC has presented to us.
Well, I think we've got to be sensible about it, but there is, like you say, particularly with at least the radio and TV, I can't read the words.
Did I just pick the wrong fucking clip where he's like already spoken about the stuff? Because now he's like defending what he said, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this is it. Hopefully.
This is the...
Shut up, Musk. Or whatever this is.
For being with us.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. It's a great pleasure to be with you, and I apologize for running in and out. I seem to be testifying and briefing many people here in Capitol Hill today, and it causes the ingoing and outgoing. Honorable Chairman, members of the committee, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor and a privilege to appear before you this morning and to take advantage of the opportunity given me in our free society to speak my mind, to give voice to my opinions in a public forum in front of not only the leadership of our great country, but the press and the media and through them all who might be listening around our country and around the world. I'm here to address the issue of a possible rating system in the recording industry, labeling records where excesses of explicit sex or graphic violence have occurred, and furthermore references to drugs and alcohol or the occult are included in the lyrics. These hearings have been called to determine whether or not the government should intervene to enforce this practice. Mr. Chairman, this would approach censorship. May I be very clear that I'm strongly opposed to censorship of any kind in our society or anywhere else in the world. I've had in my experience 2 encounters with a sort of censorship. My song Rocky Mountain High was banned from many radio stations as a drug-related song. This was obviously done by people who'd never seen or been to the Rocky Mountains and also had never experienced the elation, the celebration of life, or the joy in living that one feels when he observes something as wondrous as the Perseid meteor shower.
So, and I think we talked about this in the original recording too, where like the fact that Rocky Mountain High, if you ever heard that song, it's just just a purely nice song. It's just
very
nice.
wholesome. It's a very wholesome song.
And it's literally, I won't. So at this point, we're in the 80s. Keep that in mind. And what else is going on in the 80s? What other moral panic that we will get to was the drug panic.
Yep.
Was just kicking into gear, really.
We're about to get DARE, I believe, or we've just gotten DARE.
You had Nixon kicked it. It basically started it up, and then handed it off to Reagan and his wife, and really kicked it into high gear. And yeah, we're about to get into the thick of it there at this point. And so people were thinking about drugs a lot. Everything was, your kids are on drugs. What are your kids doing? You know what time it is? Your kids are on drugs, stuff like that. And so whenever they hear, that's what's on parents' minds at that point. That's what's on, uppity people's minds. And so when they hear Rocky Mountain High, they're like, oh, is this about drugs? And you can look at how that plays out today too, in different contexts. When something is, we like when we talked about the Mary Sue thing, right? Where they didn't see Ripley or other characters as being a Mary Sue because they weren't thinking about things the way that they think about them now whenever they watch those movies. But now they think that there's, feminism has gone too far and that they're trying to make, they're trying to emasculate men and blah, 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 blah. And so like now when they see a woman doing something cool, they're like, Mary Sue, because of the context of what they have in their fucking head. And they talk about being objective, like they can't even like recognize the context of the filter that they're filtering all information through. They don't recognize that filter is there, that lens. And
well, what it reminds me of is just sort of what I was saying before with like you feed data into a system, but that the data you're feeding into it has a bias, right? Like if they're looking for it, and I think in this case, we can say with a high degree of certainty, this committee, or rather the people running the committee are, right? They've got something they're up to. They've got something they want to push. And so they're looking for references. And then, with the John Denver song, and the Decider songs, they're reading it into the lyrics rather than them being the intent of the song. And I think if we get into Twisted Sisters, We're Not Gonna Take It, like, because that's on their list of naughty songs. And that song is, I don't know that there's much in the way of vulgarity in it. There's certainly no sex. There's no like calls to direct violence, but
literally just the sentiment of rebellion.
Teenagers. Yeah. It's a teenage rebellion song. It's a good jam, but yeah, so hit it.
On a moonless and cloudless night, when there are so many stars that you have a shadow from the starlight, and you're out camping with your friends, your best friends, and introducing them to one of nature's most spectacular light shows for the very first time. Obviously, a clear case of misinterpretation. Mr. Chairman, what assurance have I that any national panel to review my music would make any better judgment? To my knowledge, my movie, Oh God, was not banned in any theaters. However, some newspapers refused to print our advertisements, and some theaters refused to put the name of the film in the marquee. I don't believe that we were using the name of our Lord in vain. Quite the opposite, we were making a small effort to spread his message that we are here for each other and not against each other. Discipline and self-restraint, when practiced by an individual, a family, or a company, is an effective way to deal with this issue. The same thing when forced on a people by their government, or worse, by a self-appointed watchdog of public morals, is suppression and will not be tolerated in a democratic society. Mr. Chairman, the suppression of a people, of a society, begins, in my mind, with the censorship of the written or spoken word. It was so in Nazi Germany. It is so in many places today where those in power are afraid of the consequences of an informed and educated people. In a mature and incredibly diverse society such as ours, the access to all perspectives of an issue becomes more and more important. Those things which in our experience are undesirable generally prove to be unfurthering and sooner or later become boring. That process cannot and should not be stifled. On the other hand, that which is denied becomes that which is most interesting. That which is hidden, that which is denied becomes that which is most desired, and that which is hidden becomes that which is most interesting. Consequently, a great deal of time and energy is spent trying to get at what is being kept from you.
The Streisand effect. You know?
That's exactly it. It's the forbidden fruit.
It's the me being kind of interested in weed whenever the cop came and talked about weed in Dare when I was a kid. It's like, I didn't add the other stuff. He successfully made the other stuff sound pretty bad. And, to his credit, I guess, some of it is pretty, it's not ideal. But with weed, I was like, man, that actually sounds kind of fun. Just kind of hanging out and being all stoned. Yeah, don't be aware, don't be educated, don't be woke.
Right. Yeah. How dare we have a diverse and tolerant society, right? It's all the things that conservatism is against. And I think to sort of circle back around, at this point in our country, we have two parties, the conservative party and the really conservative party.
I was going to say conservator, the more conservative party. Yeah. Jesus.
Well, there's your problem.
Children, our people, our society, and the world cannot afford this waste. It was my pleasure to meet with radio programmers and broadcasters from all over the country this past week in Dallas. They expressed their concern about this issue and the direction in which it seemed to be going. They also expressed their willingness to practice the discipline and self-restraint that I mentioned earlier, especially when they were given direction by their listeners. Now, I believe this to be true because they're in business to please their listening audience. I would like to acknowledge the PMRC for bringing this issue to the attention of not only our industry, but our government and our people. It is obvious that we are dealing with a real problem which warrants our concern. I would like to point out, however, that we address ourselves not to the problem, but to the symptoms. I suggest that explicit lyrics and graphic videos are not so far removed from what is seen on television every day and night, whether it be in the soap operas or on the news. That we should point our finger at the recording industry while watching the general public at a nationally televised baseball game chant in unison, "The Blue Jays suck," is ludicrous.
Now that's pretty awful. Yeah. I mean, maybe his testimony is a little lamer than I remembered, but he's.
I mean, he gets to the crux of it right away, and then
Well, what he said there a minute ago is important too. That okay, they called attention to it, and then he said the record label people that they want to address this problem now that they realize it's a problem for parents.
Right.
And that's the same thing that we saw with the comics code, and I think this happens a lot. Is they want to bypass the relationship between consumer and distributor, the producer of the content, right? When maybe you could just put them together in a room and figure out what works, because these people want to make money, so of course they're probably going to want to find a way that works for everyone, instead of no, let's go to the government and have the government make a decision for us.
Well, and I think that's where one of the things we've seen over and over again, like you mentioned, is when you get the government involved, and you have a figure or a group that is trying to get the government involved, is that the problem would have worked itself out if it was a problem, but sometimes it wasn't a problem, and so you need to push that harder to varying degrees of success.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and also just like have they shown any evidence that this is actually a problem? You know what I mean? And John Denver kind of confirmed it is too, but like, where is it a problem? You know,
Well, like the problem is just one of sensibility, right? They're not showing any causal action or even correlation between people who listen to Twisted Sister and people who get into street fights, right? They don't really establish that. They just frame it in this think of the children, it's bad for the children, without really defining anything.
yeah, it's not like
very nebulous as to what the actual problem is other than words. And I think John Denver hits it on the head early on with just like, well, that's really close to censorship, folks. We don't do that here.
Yeah.
Or we shouldn't do that here.
There's there's no studies done to show that like, oh, kids that listen to this music, you know, they have sex, and kids that don't, or anything like that. There's, you know, no, what there was there was in the 80s a changing culture, which, you know, people, they don't like, you know, they, especially when you get to economically, you know, like when the economy's doing well. So like in the 50s and then again in the 80s, when, you know, by fucking over a bunch of poor people, the Republicans, the right makes, you know, the economy generally seem good for everyone when it's not, but it seems like it is. And then whenever, you know, and then like, as Dee Snider mentioned, culturally, there's a push toward the other direction when that happens, you know, in the arts and stuff. And that freaks people out because that's like, oh God, they're going to ruin it. They're destroying. We built the perfect culture with, you know, when really it's just like, we're just comfortable and we don't recognize the problems that are happening to other people. You know, but they're going to ruin it with their dancing and their, you know, rock music, their comic books.
I'm going to take it a little further, and I think it doesn't as much say that, oh, or give them a like, oh, this slight change is going to ruin it. I think it points out the system is already broken.
Okay, yeah, you're right. It holds a mirror to it to say, no,
it holds a mirror, right?
You want to think that things are perfect, but they're only good for you, and you don't like to think about that. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's, you know, when you look at, and this is sort of related to this, but sort of spreads out into the later 80s and the 90s with all the rap panics, which still kind of goes on today. It's like, oh, why are they singing about, you know, X, Y, and Z, even though not all rap sings about, you know, crime or drugs or what have you. Like, oh, why are they singing about that? Well, you tell stories about what you know. And what is singing if not telling a song or telling a story?
Right. They're like, you know, well, they're singing they're doing all this rap music about living in the ghetto and in the hood and stuff. And it's like, well, you shouldn't have created a ghetto for them.
Right. Why are we redlining? Why are our, you know, renting laws and our lending laws such that you can discriminate based on race very easily?
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Oh, gods. All right. I suspect we're going to have a strong back half about this, because I'm very interested, because I feel like this is an opposite of a forced adversity in like the evil way, where it's like they're forcing this thing to seem popular, even though it's not.
Well, it's what it is it's so if you trace it down the conservative logic enough, it's a forced adversity towards queer people and towards the left in general.
Right, because it's QAnon, right? So yeah, that's
so it boils down to there's this huge issue of, you know, child trafficking, right? And there is, and I'm going to have to look into that, because yeah, there's clearly obviously a problem with trafficking in general, with children being trafficked. Like, that's not good, and nobody says it is, but like the thing that they're doing is like, I looked at an article the other night on stream where I guess at some point a while back there was a TikTok that got like 11 million views because this person was filming at a Target, and you couldn't see who was doing it. You could just hear every once in a while, every time like a little kid would walk by with his parents or something on the way out the door of the Target, you'd hear someone say Marco, and it wasn't clear that wasn't even what they were saying, but that's what the TikTok said. They're saying Marco, and like what they're doing is they're recruiting for child trafficking or something, and then like a bunch of comments under it were like, yeah, I've heard that before as being a real thing, that it happens at my Target or something like that.
What?
And yeah, you don't see the person. They say it's a woman, but some people said it sounds like a child saying Marco. And it's like, what is the most reasonable thing here, you fucking dolts? That there's if it is someone saying Marco, it's probably some kid trying to get a polo out of another kid. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Doesn't understand when you're supposed to play the game in water, but that's fine. That's fine. You know, and
we've done Marco Polo. I have had friends do Marco Polo if we're in a store together and we can't see each other, to go like someone, you know, if we're trying to get ready to go or whatever, someone will go Marco and then they'll go Polo, just so you can hear where each other is, so you can coordinate meeting back up. It's not that weird.
Yeah, but I mean, even if there's no evidence of anything to, you know, just to jump right to this is how they recruit children for trafficking, you know, and that doesn't have anything to do with this movie as far as I know, but like that's just an example of how bad this problem of people wanting to believe that it's just everywhere you look, there's somebody, you know, recruiting kids for trafficking and stuff like that, and it's like, holy shit, and
they don't want to know how kids get recruited into trafficking.
Yeah,
and that is often overseas, often people trying to immigrate for a better life, and they get kidnapped in the course of attempting to get somewhere else.
By and large, if there's American children that are pulled into that kind of thing, they are kids who are on the streets and you know, or come from you know, so they're not parents that are at Target with their mom and dad. I mean, you know what I mean? They're like not walking around shopping for toys and shit, and then they just get grabbed, and that doesn't really happen.
Right. You know who it happens to in American kids, you know, off the street. It happens to queer kids and kids from more conservative families who don't buy into the family religion and get tossed down the streets, right? Like,
yes. Yeah. So there's a problem. I don't know if I'd call it an epidemic. I need to look at numbers before I say what it is, but there's a problem with child trafficking, with all kinds of people being trafficked. It's all bad, folks. But then seems to be even more of a problem with people who believe that there's trafficking everywhere you look, or right around the corner, and
right, and all that. All their panic does is make it easier for it downplays the issue.
It's vague gesturing, and like in the minds of the people who believe this, by the way, it just comes along with it to them that like, well, it's people on the left, it's the liberals, it's the queer people, it's the, you know, like it's all tied in together. And
right. And what that does is make it easier for people actually doing the trafficking to do it.
Indeed. Let's see. Oh, Lane Staley. I didn't know Lane Staley spoke at the PMRC. What?
Whoa.
Dude. Really? Yeah, I guess he did. That's wild. For anybody that doesn't know who Lane Staley was, he was the lead vocalist of Alice in Chains. One of my, you know, I mean, I don't really listen to them much anymore, but one of my favorite bands early on in my. Now he was the singer, the vocalist. He was not really the songwriter. It was Jerry Cantrell, who's still around and still doing Alice in Chains music. They got a new lead vocalist. Jerry Cantrell's fucking awesome. Alice in Chains is just generally pretty awesome. Even their newer stuff. They're like one of the only bands that, they were glam, right? Yep. I mean, so was Pantera. You might be surprised to learn.
Whoa, I did not know that.
You would be, if I showed you Pantera's first album, I think it was 2 albums Pantera did as glam rock.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he was in another band. Gotcha. Makes sense. Okay. Well, I mean, yeah. But Alice in Chains did kind of have a bit of that going on, you know, and then like Dimebag did not. That's a name that was a holdover from glam. Like if he would have started out as the metal band that they became, I'm doubt he would have called himself. I mean, not Dime. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of it. It used to be Diamond Daryl. That's what I'm thinking of. Diamond Daryl became Dimebag Daryl. That's right. So that's Pantera's guitarist, by the way, who fucking tragically was just fucking murdered on stage by some piece of shit.
Whoa.
Yeah, this is not even that long ago. I guess maybe 2012 or something. Maybe sooner. I mean, more recent than that. They were like, I mean, it was not Pantera because they've been broken up, but yeah, I don't remember whatever the band was that they were doing, and yeah, so it was Daryl and his brother who always played together. He was on the drums, and yeah, he just some crazed fan. I don't remember. I watched a video about it at one point. He was like a big fan, I guess, at some point, but he decided he was gonna kill him, and just while they're up on stage, just straight up shot him, and I think shot another one of the band members too. And yeah,
wow,
that's crazy.
That's fucked up.
Yeah. Anyway,
parasocial relationships, they're bad, kids.
Yeah, we are way off the beaten path.
We are in the weeds.
I found Lane Staley here, so let's see what because this says this is Loudwire, the verbal destruction of Tipper Gore and the PMRC. So that sounds fun.
Okay, this sounds fun. We're gonna have the Tipper Gore experience for Tipper Gore getting destroyed.
Yeah, I haven't seen this, so yeah.
All right, hit it.
Here it is, the Tipper Gore experience for everyone.
But in addition to his musical career, Frank Zappa has recently been an outspoken critic of a movement to require content ratings for LPs. Joining us in our Washington bureau is Tipper Gore. Along with her husband, Senator Albert Gore of Tennessee, she sat down to look at some of the new horror video movies recently and did not like what she saw.
There really are a lot of studies that talk about the effects of viewing violence.
All right, Frank Zappa, a long list of studies, but Tipper used an interesting
no conclusion.
Words.
I think that there are a lot of things that people can see on television or in the movies that desensitize you. But the most desensitizing thing in the United States today is the Iran-Contra hearings, because that is desensitizing us to honesty.
All right, run that back. I need to take that in again. Okay.
That is how it's done right there. Like when these fucking people come at you with their moral grandstanding over music or whatever, and be like, yeah, well, what about just point to anything the Republicans are doing.
Right. So Iran-Contra.
Yeah, you know that thing where what was it? Reagan basically made a backroom deal to supply the Contras with weapons, and so that they could do what a revolution on what was it? I don't remember.
He sold weapons to the Contras to give money to Iran.
Right. And the Contras were in
Nicaragua.
Yeah,
I believe.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's right. And they were going to do a revolution in Nicaragua, and
right.
Okay.
And that's one of those like CIA backed, kill all the decent people, put a fascist in charge sort of deals.
I think that they stopped kind of like, CCing the president in on those plans after that.
Yeah.
Like they're like, you know what? Maybe the president knowing about this isn't the best thing. Like, it's just, I don't know. Maybe the president does know. I don't know. But like, it seems like he had his hand firmly on that one.
I feel like he did.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like subsequent Republican presidents would just brag about it anyways, right? Like,
sure. Well, I mean, okay, so we say that Reagan had his hand on that, but did he know that he did? That's the question. All right. That's enough fucking Alzheimer's jokes for me. Oh, it's not nice. All right. I didn't know if Zappa was a conservative. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's like was like a center-right libertarian, if I remember correctly.
Oh, okay. His music is wacky.
His music is a trip.
It's wacky as hell. It's some of it's very good, and then it'll like change suddenly and be like, what the fuck is happening?
What was I listening? Was that the same song?
I mean, yeah, his daughters, what was one of them is Moon Unit? That's her name, right?
Oh wow, I did not know that.
Moon Unit Zappa, and then there was Dweezil and Ahmed, the sons, I believe.
Huh. So speaking of kids, I found out that one of Penn Jillette's kids is non-binary.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
I found out that the villain in Deadpool 3 is non-binary, and that, you know, they've just been cast and nobody's talked about. I didn't even I didn't find an article about it. All I did was I was looking up stuff about Deadpool 3, and I saw that they were listed as they, and I was like, oh, that's interesting.
yeah.
And I found another article where they were talking about them and they were referring to them as they, and I was like, yeah, cool.
Rad.
Yeah.
All right,
Anyway.
so hit it.
In itself, that is an issue. This is nothing.
1984 was a pretty insane time for Twisted Sister. We were hearing bits and pieces about this Parents Music Resource Center and Tipper Gore, but not really registering. Somebody approached our office that the Senate committee is having a hearing on censorship with the PMRC and wanted to know if I would come and speak. Now, my view of it when I heard it was they want me to carry the flag into battle. Hell yeah.
I would like to use this occasion to speak on a more personal note and show just how unfair the whole concept of lyrical interpretation and judgment can be, and how many times this can amount to little more than character assassination.
They were saying that Under the Blade was about sadomasochism and bondage. It was about my guitar player's throat operation.
Dreams into the lyrics. People can interpret it many ways. Ms. Gore was looking for sadomasochism and bondage, and she found it. Someone looking for surgical references would have found it as well.
The National Mental Health Association estimates some 14 million children.
And you think
are
the
at
music
risk.
contributes to more of the problem?
I think the music always sets a tone for a generation.
But
and
this
we
is
have to
this
be
is the
aware
eternal
of it.
question, though, Tipper. Doesn't the music reflect what's already going on?
The thing of it is you have to.
Yeah, tell her Oprah. You know, like good job, Oprah Winfrey. You did. This is before you started doing stuff like making people like Dr. Oz
Phil and Dr.
Phil
Oz, yeah.
popular and like kind of just brain damaging our country.
Yeah. Remember when Dr. Oz ran for Senate?
That was funny.
And he lost to a guy in a hoodie?
Yeah, because he went to a grocery store and it looked like he'd never shopped for his own groceries before.
Yeah, clearly that guy has not been in a grocery store before that moment in the last 20 years.
Did we say somebody else? I think I said Oprah, didn't I?
That's who he said.
Maybe he's just behind on pointing it out and himself, and he's not like actually correcting. I don't know.
To swallow this as a whole thing. You got to swallow the whole pill. You listen to my album, you got to swallow the whole pill. The problem with Ice-T is I say don't do drugs, go to school, don't go to jail, love your brother, but I happen to like Freddy Krueger. If you open up a Playboy magazine, I'm going to look in it.
So this must have been before his band Body Count, with the song Cop Killer.
Right, probably.
Okay.
What I do is I show you a whole person. Everybody has a vice to them, but I show you the whole person. The problem is when you show the High Rollers video, you show the part that has nothing to do with the actual. That video was about don't be a high roller. At the end of that video, I ended up dead. You know, so.
Oregon homeowners, all the electric companies are raising.
Sorry.
NWA has a record that says the police. He has another record that says express yourself.
Say I was a father and my kid brought home something I really, really objected to, like a Skinhead record or a toy Uzi or even a Guns N' Roses record with those lyrics on it. I would not immediately go crawling to the phone to call the cops.
I like how he gets to Skinhead record and then has to work it down to Guns N' Roses, to my knowledge, not exactly Nazis.
No. I mean, there's some lyrics that are a little bit risque here and there, but
sure, but it's more of that false equivalence that we keep coming across with this one. Just these two things, one of which is obviously bad, are the same. Trust me, wink.
Well, I don't know. I think he's actually maybe about to make a good point. I think he was kind of giving a little bit of the let's say that I had a problem with what my kid brought home, but yeah, I think I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. Well, let him.
Gore. I would not put my kid in a mental hospital for the kind of music they listen to. I would not send them to some deprogramming center. Blame it on
Look at Tipper's.
the music. What I would do is sit down with the kid and say, okay, you spent your own money on this. Why? What does it mean to you? Why do you like it? Is it the tune? Is it the rhythm? Is it that cool bass player? Tell me why you like it, and I'll tell you why I don't like it. I think the most evil part of the PMRC and people like Tipper Gore and Jesse Helms is they play on the fears of parents who are too chicken to talk to their own kids.
I mean,
yeah,
fucking bass. Like he just said it. That's my general view on this altogether. It's like, yeah, have a conversation with them. You know,
right? Talk to your kids. Know your kids.
Because like I it would have been challenging to me if I was a kid listening to what was I listening to that maybe was I don't know, Metallica was what it wasn't really, they don't have any real problematic lyrics or anything, but like something, if somebody had sat me down and said, what is it about this thing that you like when I was a kid listening to rock music, I wouldn't have been able to tell you immediately. I would have had to really think about it. That would have been like a challenge in a good way to me.
Right.
That would have been like, oh shit, that's a question I haven't thought of. I don't know why. Like, what is
that's how you should challenge your kids, right? Is why do you like this? And approach it from that point. Because it's important to know why we like things. That's a good amount of introspection in how you view the world, is to know why you think the way you do and what you like and why you like it.
Yeah, I don't know where this Jello guy came from, and I don't know where, it seems like he just kind of manifested on this show and then disappeared after. He's never existed before.
Did he come out of a mold?
Oh, heyo. Morgan will be here all week.
Aw, yay!
Tip your waiters and waitresses.
Yep.
Yeah. Meanwhile, at this time, good our old friend Video Nasties going on.
May I be very clear that I'm strongly opposed to censorship of any kind in our society or anywhere else in the world. That's why Rocky Mountain High was banned from many radio stations. I
hate Jello.
This was obviously done by people who'd never seen or been to the Rocky Mountains, and also had never experienced the elation, the celebration of life, or the joy in living that one feels when he observes something as wondrous as the Perseid meteor shower. Obviously a clear case of misinterpretation.
But I mean, also, have you experienced those on weed?
On weed.
Chairman, what assurance have I that any national panel to review my music would make any better judgment?
Her most successful album to date has been her sexiest. It's also brought the most criticism.
Oh.
You think of rock and roll, it's just from the heart. It's just go for it. And if you feel sexy and raw and raunchy, be you male or female, during any particular performance or song, then that's what you do.
But we're talking about a line that's been crossed when you have a top hit that's talking about, come inside my sugar walls, spend the night inside my sugar walls. That's what people, particularly parents of younger kids, are trying to address.
Artists are just saying, hey, lighten up, get off our case. This is what art's all about, is being free. And if you don't like it, then turn into something else, go watch the news and watch violence if you don't like sexuality.
There's cancers in society. You walk in my neighborhood, you got to step over people. There are people living in the streets. There are people starving. There's a drug problem, a huge drug problem, where the soul of the American youth is just being eaten away. People are drinking and driving. People are dying because some asshole gets behind the wheel and drinks and kills somebody who's going home from work. There's stuff like that going on that are real societal problems. And what's his name's wife, Albert Gore's wife, sits, I don't know where she lives, but she's sitting home going let's see, what can I do with my life? How can I be productive? I know, I'll pick the 14,337th most important problem in America. Work on records.
I played for a rock band.
This guy is spitting.
And there's enough controversy on our name, more or less, than our songs. We've just signed with a local record company.
Oh, he's so young, man.
Anything objectionable about any of our songs?
God damn.
I don't know who that is.
That's Lane Staley of Alice. He was.
That's the guy. Okay, yeah.
Eventually, of Alice in Chains, he was in this sleaze band before this. He's one of the most. He just had a kind of the kind of voice that is impossible to kind of match and one of a kind in a lot of ways, and like just hard to
I
describe.
love those glasses. I want those.
He ended up like the band broke up essentially because of him, more or less, because he got pretty, they only got a few albums out, Alice in Chains, in the 90s before they broke up, because he, like, if you watch their unplugged performance, he looks like he's just propped up in a chair, and he's wearing big sunglasses. He looks basically dead already. And he actually lived another few years, and was just kind of in his home doing speedballs for the next few years.
Ooh, that's a bad way to go.
For those that aren't aware, that's heroin and cocaine, intravenous, and yeah, I remember when he died. It was 2002, I think, right, Charles? Yep, sleeves, gloves, covering all. I mean, like Kurt Cobain on their unplugged performance, he's, you can tell he's not doing so great either, but he looks like the picture of health compared to Lane and their fucking unplugged. So, yeah, but I mean, just seeing him young like this and just it's kind of harsh,
right?
Songs, but I don't feel anyone else has the right to rate our songs. I mean, I'm the only one that has the right to rate, my album. You don't have it.
The outrageous edge of rock and roll has shifted its focus from Elvis's pelvis to the saw protruding from Blackie Lawless's codpiece on a Wasp album. I got this bullet in my eye.
All right, so
we got to talk about Wasp.
We got to talk about Wasp and their song. So yeah, Blackie Lawless from Wasp. This, by the way, I'd never heard of this band or song until we covered this in the recorded version, and we. Okay, so Wasp was a band, apparently. It's kind of a hair band. There's a lot of those around. I'm not a big fan. I'm not a fan at all, actually. So this song, let's see, what was the name of the song? I forget.
Like an Animal. Or Animal, something like that.
Something about that, yeah.
Animal, fuck like a beast.
Yeah. So it's Animal in parentheses, fuck like a beast.
Okay, so I have a complete aside question. I need you to help me as a music person that I am not. Mm-hmm. When songs have that title where it's like a title and then in a parentheses some other thing, what the fuck is that about?
It's basically like trying to. I mean, what do you think about whenever a movie or a book has like, a
subtitle,
a title, but then like another, Doctor Strangelove.
Oh, sure. Okay, that's what it's going for. Okay, so instead of a colon, they put the parentheses. Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
There might be various reasons why they do that. Like, so it might be there's the record label could say, okay, but the name of this the thing that you want to name this song, it doesn't really say that in the song, which happens, where like it's just, especially in rock music, there will be some song title that has seemingly nothing to do with the lyrics. Or it's like not the popular part, like the chorus is really catchy and everybody's going to sing that chorus, right? But it doesn't actually say the title of the song.
Oh, sure.
So you might go if you have the original thing that's not in the chorus, but then in parentheses have like fuck like a beast, which is part of the chorus that everybody's going to sing along to, right? So then they know it's that song. There's various reasons why you might do it, but yeah. Okay, I remember this happened last time too. This website didn't. I click on the lyrics and it's like, nope, that page doesn't exist anymore. So, the song was written by Blackie Lawless and was Wasp's first single ever. When it became known to the public, it was regarded as one of the most controversial songs ever due to the title and lyrics, and it was not even being released. It was close to not even being released. Sorry. The band's label, Capitol Records, didn't want the song on their upcoming debut album as it could get banned from major retail charts. Wasp managed to score a one-off deal with a smaller label, Music for Nations, and the single was finally released in April 1984. Wasp's mission was to offend. The band's name is an acronym for We Are Sexual Perverts. This song is a trip into the mind of a man's fantasies with rather graphic details. Incredulously, Blackie Lawless claimed the lyrics were inspired by nothing more than a picture of 2 mating lions he had in a National Geographic magazine. The song made the Filthy 15, a list of objectionable songs distributed by the Parents Music Resource Center in 1985. The group, which was comprised of the wives of prominent U.S. politicians. The band stopped playing the song in the mid-2000s after Blackie Lawless became a born-again Christian.
Well, you know, you live long enough to yourself become a different flavor of villain, I guess.
Yep, that's it.
I don't.
So let's look at the album cover here. I don't know if we did that last time, but
I think we did.
We did look at the Filthy 15 last time. We went through one by one, and you know what I might do when I have time is just cut that and make that a video where we kind of scan through the Filthy 15. And oh god, okay, that's a very low resolution one. Come on, give me some HD shit here. What are you doing? What are you doing to me? Okay, that's gonna have to work. So, as you see there, it's a cod piece with a razor, looks like a saw there, and there's some blood on the hands, or like some watery ketchup. I don't know.
It's as the kids say these days, very cringe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're very clearly, like I said, they're trying to offend. And of course, back in the day, I guess this wasn't cringe. It was just actually kind of upsetting to people, or kids probably thought it was funny. I don't know.
I'm trying to get in young me's head, and I would just be like, that is very bizarre. And then, I don't know, go back to playing Magic or something. Just
Lords of Acid. I missed a lot of comments here. Oopsie. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's a good. That's another reason. Oh shit! Oh my god, I missed it. I completely missed the debut of Here's the thing. Sorry, I had to.
That's in the contract. No, I get it.
And I promise that's not me or anyone I know. But he's a hero. They are a hero, no matter what, for existing as this account and showing
being the coolest member of the Fantastic Four.
Just the coolest, and arguably the coolest member of my audience, honestly.
Oh, probably fair. So now next question, we got to rank the Fantastic Four, the original four, because there's been so many members of the Fantastic Four, including Wolverine.
Yeah, so I mean it's any form of sex. Yeah, well, the thing, first of all, I don't like when people speak in all caps, but I love when you do it for some reason. I love the idea of the thing so are you pro MPM or C or anti?
It gets the character across, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yep. But we're definitely anti around here. But look, if you at the beginning we talked about it doesn't matter being pro or anti. By the time that the hearings happened, it was already too late. And the decisions had been made, and the sticker was going to exist, period. Yeah. So this song is fucking stupid. It's really just about jacking off, okay?
Yeah.
We went to, it was talking about how offensive the song was when we were looking at the Filthy 15. We're like, wow, what is so offensive about this song? And then we start reading the lyrics, and it's like, we were laughing. It's like, this is just about masturbating.
Right.
It's a guy describing feverishly masturbating over a magazine, basically. And and this is supposed to be cool, or you know what I mean? Rock stars are supposed to sing about getting laid, not having to rub one out themselves.
Right. It's not great.
I'm performing, which keeps people off.
Now you got Steel Panther. They're kind of living on in the legacy of stuff like this, where they're intentionally offensive, so to speak, but kind of satirically offensive.
Mm-hmm.
Balance, where they're asking, is he or isn't he serious about this? Those people have obviously never seen that Glenn.
I mean, how can any grown man walk around with a 12-inch saw blade between his legs and take that seriously?
How can radio stations broadcasting across the country be scared of a bunch of assholes like the PMRC? And what do you really think they're going to stop? These people would get laughed off the face of the fucking earth in England. I can't understand it.
It would last 2 days.
I can't understand it. I just don't believe that anybody could attach any importance to what a bunch of shitheads like that have to say about anything.
Hey, I would be embarrassed to walk into a record store and buy a G-rated album.
By yourself?
Yes. Next thing you know, it's going to go off to its own place in the record store next to Jungle Book, Sound Theme, you know? and then you're going to find the G-rated albums in the toy stores.
I have to tell you this. I don't know what a G rating is, and maybe you didn't understand what did happen in this agreement. There are not ratings, and they didn't push for ratings.
Okay.
What there is simply a consumer to warning, like on cigarettes. This may be harmful.
Okay, let me give you a scenario.
So tell me about ratings, because we didn't ask for
I'll give you a scenario, okay? If I record...
Is this fucking Donny Osmond?
Yeah.
Wow.
That is, in fact.
Wow. All right. Well, okay.
Recorded a Madonna song, okay? No, let me change it. If I recorded a song that talked about a person who was downtrodden in life, just nobody would give him a chance, and he was suicidal. If Ozzy Osbourne records it, that's offensive. But if Donny Osmond records it, it's a fact of life.
Based. Yeah, I mean that's good point, Donny Osmond.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can finish capping this off here with a little, I don't know, capper.
Sure.
While initially, this is more back to Dee Snider's account. While initially my appearance at those hearings was damaging to my career and reputation, long term it was beneficial, showing people for the first time that I was much more than a screaming Raggedy Ann on acid, and a fairly intelligent, sentient human being. Fortunately, I've gone on to better things. My arch nemeses, Al and Tipper Gore, are long divorced. Well, this October 23rd, my wife Suzette and I will celebrate our 34th wedding anniversary.
Wait, did Ann and Tipper Gore get divorced? Did Al and Tipper Gore get divorced?
I think so, yeah.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. That's mean, but like,
I mean,
could be mean.
Just,
it's fine.
In the meanwhile, him and his wife have been married for 34 years. This was like, I don't even know what year this was written. Let me see. This was,
oh yeah, separated 2010.
Let's see. Yeah. Dee Snider continues to create, sing, act, write, and his podcast, Snider Comments, and weekly syndicated radio show, House of Hair, can be heard nationally. He lives in Las Vegas with his wife, Suzette, in close proximity to their 4 healthy grown children and their 3 wonderful grandchildren. So, yeah. Anyway, there's that. Here's this.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, mother.
Jack Black, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, real rock star, Jack Black. Okay, let's see what we got.
He doesn't play the best song in the world, just the tribute.
Right. All right. Yeah, Lemmy's awesome.
Yeah.
Or he was awesome, you know. Poor guy died.
Right.
You know, lived and died like a king. No, he's well respected in the metal community. That's for sure.
Oh, for sure.
All right, so Sound of Freedom, which is just, you know, whenever what was that? Who was that in chat the other day? Was that you that made the comment about that?
What?
No, maybe not. And when I mentioned it the other day on stream, somebody was like, "Is that just this like a screeching bald eagle for 2 hours?" You know, Sound of Freedom.
That sounds like something I would say, but I don't know that it was me because I didn't hear about this until yesterday.
Yeah. And just more context. We should kind of stick to a little bit to the topic. I'm sorry about this. It's my fault. But you guys know what happened with the freaking sticker. The sticker doesn't matter. All it did was like tell Walmart which albums they're going to put on the shelves. I had never had any problem buying any album that had that sticker on it when I was under the age of 17, 18 or anything. And I bought several of them. I even stole a few.
So nice. In talking about this to some friends after we did the first record, that's how a lot of people I know discovered our local record stores, was because the sticker basically tells you there's a better version of this out there somewhere, and so that was the impetus for a lot of people to discover record stores and a lot of like less known bands or indie bands, other genres of music they weren't exposed to on the radio. So in a real way, this was a marketing tool.
Yeah, and a matter of fact, it not only that, it was a muse in a way, because here's on Wikipedia is a list of the songs that went on to reference or parody, criticize the PMRC or the label itself. Just a quick glance over them. We're not going to look at all of them. Like you had, Judas Priest, Megadeth, Danzig, Metallica, Flotsam Jetsam, Todd Rundgren. Like it just. There's Ice-T. Speaking of the devil,
there he is.
In his 1989 album, he had a song, "Freedom of Speech." Here's an extended attack on Tipper Gore. Yo, Tip, what's the matter? You ain't getting no dick. You bitching about rock and roll. That's censorship, dumb bitch. The Constitution says we all got a right to speak. Say what we want, Tip. Your argument is weak. And now, while I don't necessarily love all of the misogyny there, the sentiment is understood.
Right. I'm happy to call it a product of its time.
Sure, yeah, I'm sure Ice-T would too, Mr. Cop Lover. Doing propaganda shows, and yeah, just nonstop. There's so much music made in response to it. Ongoing.
All the way, up to Eminem, who is, that's a decade and a half later, he's dunking on it.
Yep. There we go. It had an effect. It just wasn't the effect that they wanted. It was really an exercise in exercise in I don't know, futility maybe, but they were really just
the Streisand effect.
Yeah, they were trying to build clout for themselves, and it's like they overestimated their power, their cultural power, their what they could accomplish, I suppose. Which,
well, and I think it's one of those things that'll not all moral panics have this problem, but I think this one certainly does, and some other ones do, especially when they're this artificial, and the people pushing them are so inexpert in the thing they're talking about. Is what's the end game here, right? And the problem they have, especially in these hearings, is that the label's already a done deal that's happening. So what do you want out of this hearing now? To chastise some musicians. Great, cool, fantastic. What else? We want them to put labels on the music. Okay, they're already doing that.
Well, and to tie into a previous episode, and we got to thank Charles Willis Credia for this one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. True.
It's almost like they were giving people like Carlin and rock music and rappers. They're like, here, you guys want something legit to fucking make content based on that, like people are gonna love you for. And not only that, we're going to give you an image that is just like
it's iconic.
Yeah. It's really kind of just they did them a favor. They did music a favor. So, maybe that's hopefully some people have learned some lessons from that. Maybe not. Probably not.
Well, I think the video game industry learned a lesson from this that I think if we go back over the ESRB scare in a future episode. Say again?
We'll have to do that.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Because that And that one we can play clips to, because you can play video game clips for almost anything that isn't a Nintendo game.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, I know. I know we watched a couple of weird.
We watched
things.
a couple of clips that were very funny.
What was that one game that was like the home intruder game that you?
Night Trap.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we're gonna have to put Night Trap up there for a stream. Let everyone enjoy that, because it's whoo-hoo. Yep, Mortal Kombat was the other one.
And Night Trap.
Yep,
like
Night Trap.
Two games that were just on very different trajectories for their success.
Yes, they were. I think I talked about it. My mom got really into Mortal Kombat 2.
That's awesome. It's an addicting game.
It's a good game, yeah.
You know, when you want to be able to execute those fatalities and the head pops into the pit drops and everything.
All the fun stuff, yeah.
And Mortal Kombat 2 that had the beastalities too.
Did it?
Animalities. That's what it was. Animalities.
Animality. Okay, yeah. I it's been so long since I've played a Mortal Kombat game, Dane.
It has not been as long as I probably should have. I don't know. I got Mortal Kombat was at 11 or something when it came out.
The closest thing I played is I had a buddy who got really into Injustice.
Oh yeah.
Which is made by the Mortal Kombat devs, but it's DC superheroes.
Right. They did Mortal Kombat versus DC first, and then based on the success of that, they were like, well, what if we just did a DC one?
We had some beverages, and one of our buddies got very kerschnickered, and I was playing as Black Adam. And every time he would say Shazam, my buddy just fucking lost it laughing. It was the funniest thing. Because he wasn't really a comics guy. And so he didn't know who Captain Marvel was, much less Black Adam. And so he's just dying on this basement couch.
Are you, Dean? You didn't know that they had the animalities? That was on 3. It was Greg corrected me, but yeah, you could turn into an animal. And like you basically like Liu Kang turns into a big dragon and he bites them in half or whatever, and then like I think Sub-Zero maybe turned into a polar bear or some shit, and just stuff like that. And then of course there was the babalities, as the thing reminds us, where you turn your opponent into a baby, and that's it. It just sits there. You don't kill it or anything.
Right,
I mean, that might have been going too far. But yeah, you just turn him into a baby, and it goes babality.
So many people took that game seriously, and like, as far as I can remember, like it was over the top as fuck.
I called it the bestiality. Yeah.
What you're doing afterwards is not our concern.
No, come on.
Forced adversity does not condone or authorize or encourage animal abuse.
It's called interspecies erotica, fucko.
Damn. I did not know that, and now I'm going to work very hard to forget it again. Thank you.
No, that's from Clerks 2. Come on. When
I
like,
probably forgot it from when I saw Clerks 2, because that movie wasn't very good.
Nah, it was all right. I liked it back when it came out. But he's like, they did the donkey show in the restaurant.
Right.
He's like, you're doing a donkey show. He's like, it's interspecies erotica, fucko. Okay. Anyway, yeah, thank you, Dean, for calling attention to my shame that I accidentally said bestiality.
I'm with Jeffrey that Street Fighter is always on top there.
I never liked Street Fighter very much. I'll be honest. I just couldn't. Kinky Kelly and the and then what was Kinky Kelly turned out to be the guy's name, and the donkey was I forget, but.
Oh, right. Because they think it's going to be a woman doing the donkey show, and it's a big, like, biker dude.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then he's actually one when they all go to jail, or they both go to jail, and he's in there, or they go to jail together. That's right. And he says something to them that's like this, some kind of wisdom that incites the finale of the movie. Primal Rage. Fuck yeah. Let's go. A lot of bestiality in that one.
Damn.
All right, so back to something I guess less stupid, more stupid. I don't know. This Wednesday we will have a special guest, Pillar of Garbage. We're all pretty hyped about that because, like, there's not a lot of people that kind of do content the way that the stuff that we tend to cover. That's not all he does, but when he does cover the Chud's nonsense, he does it really classy. He does it well. His video pretty recently on just woke and why everything is woke now or whatever, the woke grift. Fucking, if I had to point somebody to one video to break all that down, that would be the video. And so like we're all pretty hyped about it because it's like we all admire each other's content. Me and Turf and Bob and DJ, and like we're all fans of each other. But like outside of that, there's not really anybody except Pillar of Garbage. They were all like, "Oh yeah, he's fucking great."
See, I have not heard of Pillar of Garbage, so
if you've ever heard like the phrase "a musician's musician," right? Like,
sure, yeah.
Like they may not be somebody, of course, that's not even true for him because he's more popular than us, really. But like, that's maybe not somebody that's super mainstream popular, but like among other people that do that, that's the person they admire. You know what I mean?
So you're the musician's musician to him?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. No, I don't know. You know what I mean? No. He might not even be aware of who I am. No.
Who are you?
I'm not aware of who I am. But no, he did do the that excellent little brief thing in our mission statement. In case you missed that, you should check that out.
Oh, okay. He's in the mission statement
where he covered the because I'd sent out a few requests to various creators and just audience fans, and it's like, hey, what does anti-fandom mean to you, or what did I ask? The question was, and he didn't answer that, and I'm glad because he did his own thing with it. And I fucking loved it. Nice. But like the question was like, what do you think could be done about, I don't know, something about generally your thoughts on anti-fandom, your experience and stuff. And he goes, his thing was like, rather than talk about that, I'm going to talk about the word anti-fandom and how awesome it is. Goes off on like how it's just the perfect word for the
go.
So yeah, he's going to be on, and then we're going to talk about the new Jesus Q Christ movie, Sound of Freedom, where the guy who played Jesus is now Jesus Christ. I'm sorry, it's just so stupid, guys. It's so dumb. I just want to give up on life, but I'm not going to.
How about we make fun of it for the dozen or so people in chat?
All right, that sounds fun. Let's pull open an article on it here.
Happy birthday, Scooby.
Oh shit, happy birthday.
Go have a Scooby snack.
Okay, so oh my god, I'm looking at the audience reviews now. It is rated as a 4.9 by 1,587 ratings on, I guess, Google. 4.9 out of 5 stars, and I'm willing to bet there's some inorganic stuff happening with those.
Well, they to tie it back into the episode's topic, they're singing the Al Gore rhythm. No, nothing. All right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was reading something, and I'm sorry.
I was making an algorithm joke because they're bots,
Oh, an algorithm joke.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I try. I'm not the best. That's why you don't pay me the big bucks.
No, I'm just pulling open some sources here, and we'll
getting the sauce.
All right, so this is what I found first about the thing. Was the first thing I ever heard of it was I happened to pass a Rolling Stone review link on Twitter or whatever. So, Sound of Freedom is a superhero movie for dads with brainworms. The QAnon-tinged thriller about child trafficking is designed to appeal to the conscience of a conspiracy-addled boomer. Based on a true story I heard from somewhere across the theater. The familiar words had appeared on screen, and an elderly man had taken it upon himself to read them aloud to the rest of a sizable audience seated for a matinee showing of the anti-child trafficking thriller Sound of Freedom, starring Jim Caviezel. For a seasoned moviegoer, this phrase is a joke. We know that cinema will stretch almost any truth to the breaking point, and the rank and sincerity of such a pronouncement is the foundation of the prankish opening of titles of Fargo, which is like, I mean, there is like almost nothing there. Who knows what the seed of truth is in any of those things, but it's definitely not a true story.
In Fargo, I presume it's that there's a place. It is called Fargo.
That's true. There really is. Maybe somebody got thrown into a wood chipper once. Who knows? But this crowd, all I could tell, would view the events depicted over the next 2 hours plus as entirely literal. Caviezel, best known for being tortured to death in Mel Gibson's The Passion of the Christ, has become a prominent figure on the conspiracist right, giving speeches and interviews in which he hints at underground holy war between patriots and a sinister legion of evildoers who are harvesting the blood of children. It's straight up QAnon stuff, right down to the use of the catchphrase, "The storm is upon us." Well,
so you know what I do when I'm running my evil conspiracy?
What's that?
I let C-list movie stars know about it so they can tell their audience.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, here's Jim Caviezel at Las Vegas Q conference. He's pushed the adrenochrome conspiracy theory. And so if you ever hear anybody talking about the adrenochrome thing, like that, is that true? Are they really? No, because adrenochrome's not real.
It's not real. It's fucking Hunter S. Thompson made up as a bit.
Yep, and put into his book Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, then put into the movie, which is probably, let's be honest, they didn't read the book.
They can't read.
And in the movie, it's like told real sinisterly. It's like it got this air of like, holy shit, that's like the farthest you can go as far as doing drugs is adrenochrome, because it has to be harvested from a fresh human adrenal gland. You know what I mean? And it's like, wow,
right.
that's if it was real, yeah, that's the limit, man. You can't go much further than that. But it's not real.
It's not. It's not a thing.
Some of the
and if it was, it would just be adrenaline, based on how adrenaline glands work.
Right. No, but
so, we know what that does to people.
So yeah, this is based on thank you based on Tim Ballard's OUR, which is bullshit. It's an unfortunate thing because these organizations exist and they use these causes to grift, and maybe even they have good intentions. They think they're doing it, but they're just idiots and they don't really know what they're doing. Who knows? But Ann Gallagher, an authority on human trafficking, wrote in 2015 that organization had an alarming lack of understanding about how sophisticated criminal trafficking networks must be approached and dismantled, and called the work of OUR arrogant, unethical, and illegal. So this is the organization that this is based on. Let's see what, here's Jim Caviezel probably saying some really cool stuff. Let's see what he says. He's on Real America's Voice, just the most respected.
Isn't that Steve Bannon's current?
Yep.
Digital vomit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think of the words that Jesus talks about when people say, "When is the end coming?" And Jesus looks, "Why do you ask me for the signs of the times? You look at the clouds and you know it will rain, and so it does. Why do you ask me this? Can you not see what's going on? Can you not see that we don't have a country anymore? By definition, you have to have borders. We don't have a border."
We don't have a border.
What? Like,
can these fucking drama queens stop fucking acting like taking, sometimes people get across the border illegally. Oh my God. Sometimes people ask for asylum. Oh my God.
Right.
We don't have a border anymore.
We don't, but I would love these people to talk to some like leftist immigration activists, because boy, it would be wild. You're like, oh yeah, no, there's a border, and yeah, Biden isn't just letting anyone in; he's enforcing a bunch of kind of shitty fucking immigration policy. And on the upside, he's done a fair bit to stop some drug trafficking into the country. You can do that without stomping out refugees, but we'll give some credit where it's due, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's true. Like, our borders are more secure than a lot of nations' borders. Like ours is more fucking militarized.
Oh yeah, ours is incredibly militarized. Our southern border is.
Yeah, right. They don't care up north. But I mean, like, this dude. I wonder how Christian he was before he made the Passion of the Christ, or if he's just like ever since then just like swallowed all this. Like he's probably struggling not to refer to himself as Jesus. I think
right. Like if I'm. I guess I don't know anything about the guy, so I'm this is blind speculation on my part. But it takes a certain sort of person to play Jesus Christ in Mel Gibson's Grindhouse movie.
Yeah, well, and he's exactly that kind of person. I listened to a podcast about him once, and he is kind of a piece of shit. He has claimed to have been struck by lightning several times and lived. He has, I think he's like, he did this show with what's his name from Lost.
Oh, I have no idea.
It was after Lost, the fucking bad guy that was Benjamin Linus from Lost. He went on to do a show with him, and he played this, they had some supercomputer that could like calculate the probability of events of things happening. So they would like try to prevent things from happening or solve crimes based on this computer's thing. And so he, it was just him as like a clandestine operation or whatever. But like every episode he'd go and try and save somebody or whatever the hell. And apparently he was very, very bad about, like, he just didn't try to not hit people in real life. Like, whenever he would film a fight scene, he would just fucking hit people, and they would tell him several times. I'm like, dude, you gotta like act. He's like, whatever.
Not do that. Yeah, like
he didn't care. He just didn't care. I think that's
He was in that Saw prequel. Jesus Christ.
Oh, so yeah, it's he's a piece of shit from generally even before the QAnon stuff. It's like he's a crazy person. He really is. The kind of person that it makes sense that he probably, because he wasn't a bad actor. Honestly, the Jesus movie is gross, and I don't like it just because of what it is. But he did it well. I believed that he was fucking suffering from having the skin lashed off his back and shit. And then there was a movie that he was in where he could speak to his dad through time travel radio or something. I remember.
That's how I talked to my dad.
Yeah, it's really the best way. But like, it was a pretty good movie and stuff. So like, I don't have anything against it. I don't think his acting is any reason that he doesn't get a lot of big work anymore. I'll say that. I think it has more to do with
him just being a shitbird.
Yep. And let's see what else he says here.
Why would you continue to listen to a media that's lying to you every day?
Why is he crying?
A couple of years ago, I'm on talking about adrenochrome. You can't say that word.
Yeah.
You cannot say anything bad on George Soros.
Oh.
Do you know that?
There it is.
Many of these companies like the Daily Beast, boy, they sure had their fun tearing me apart. I lost my agents, 17 years, and my other agent of 15 years, because they listened.
Wow, he sure is suffering. He's a lot like Jesus.
Hey, Dane, how many agents have you lost?
I'm one of 17 years, 3. He really is just like, I'm suffering. I'm so, I'm an actor, and I have a very privileged life, and I'm here in, like, what does that look like? His home theater that he's sitting in, maybe?
He's in his home theater or something.
And like, I lost my agent, and I probably got another one who's like, willing to put me in some really cringe movies, but whatever. Years before he drank the Kool-Aid. Was that a good movie? I remember it being one, but it's been a long time.
Anyway. Gods. There is something about this Christian racket that borders on a fetish where they just want to act like the world is trying to get them, and they have to keep making up more and more absurd things to come up with to cry about. And it's just like, you can't talk about George Soros. What in the fuck are you talking about? Every one of you dumb motherfuckers, from fucking F-list actors like this guy to fucking Kanye West, going on about George Soros, but you can't talk about him.
And yet you're talking about him. You just
right.
and you can't talk about adrenochrome, but you just talked about it.
You just talked about right.
But
it's
like also,
movie.
So correction. Adrenochrome is a real thing.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So it's just everything else about it that's not.
So it has nothing to do with what they say it does.
So there's only one. This is a line from Fear and Loathing. There's only one source for this stuff: the adrenal glands of a living human body. That bit of misinformation, found in Hunter S. Thompson's 1971 classic, likely planted the seed that grew into one of the most outlandish and repugnant of all conspiracy theories. That would be the ludicrous QAnon claim that Hollywood celebrities and liberal elite politicians are kidnapping children to harvest their blood. QAnon is a not-so-fringe, baseless theory that a government agent, Q, is the source of a continuous information about of deep state secrets, such as the existence of... So, like, every time Trump mentioned the deep state, this is all tied into that.
Right.
So such as the existence of a global cabal of pedophiles who thirst for the blood of children. Why? The farcical QAnon rationale is that they're using the blood as a source of adrenochrome, a chemical that supposedly has psychedelic properties and also holds the promise of immortality. But didn't they, did they not watch the movie? It only comes from the adrenal gland. It doesn't just come from the blood.
Right.
So how did Thompson come to invoke that in his short story, describing it as making pure mescaline seem like ginger beer? Somewhere along the line, he likely came across the work of Canadian psychiatrists Abram Hoffer and Humphrey Osmond, who in the 1950s had noted a similarity between the symptoms of schizophrenia and the effects of mescaline, a naturally occurring hallucinogen found in peyote.
Tasty.
Yeah. Mescaline is not produced by the body, but the two scientists wondered if some substance with a similar molecular structure is produced under some circumstance, possibly causing schizophrenia. Since adrenaline shares a basic molecular structure with mescaline, it was a candidate for involvement. It was clear that adrenaline itself, the famous fight-or-flight hormone that is present in everyone's bloodstream, could not be the culprit, but perhaps some error in its metabolism could produce a mind-altering substance. And so this is just... so they theorized that adrenaline is oxidized in the body to adrenochrome.
Okay.
And due to some faulty biochemistry, the adrenochrome builds up and triggers schizophrenia. Since adrenaline is known to form in the body by the addition of a methyl group, a carbon atom with 3 hydrogens, to its precursor, noradrenaline, Dr. Hoffer postulated that B vitamin niacin, being a methyl acceptor, would stall in this reaction. Furthermore, vitamin C, an antioxidant, might prevent adrenaline from being oxidized to adrenochrome. Thus was born the adrenochrome hypothesis of schizophrenia.
So the theory is that based on this theory, that the rich elites are taking adrenaline that will give you schizophrenia. Yada.
Oh wow! So here there's one more step.
Okay.
So doctors Hoffer and Osmond reported successful treatment of schizophrenics with megadoses of niacin and vitamin C, but a number of follow-up studies by others failed to confirm any benefit. So it was a hypothesis that more or less has been proven to not bear out with any kind of peer review. The adrenochrome hypothesis faded into the background, but the reputed hallucinogenic effect of adrenochrome probably stimulated Hunter Thompson to include the drug in his novel. Adrenochrome also made it into, and this came up just now when I Googled it, the 1998 movie version of the book. This is what came up. And the 2017 starred, in 2017 starred in a totally forgettable film, Adrenochrome, in which a young American veteran confronts some psychos in California who are on a murderous spree to extract this psychedelic compound from their victims' adrenal glands.
Hey, that's my autobiography.
Yeah. Are you the veteran?
No.
Yeah,
I'm the murderous psychedelic killers, I guess.
Well, let's get into why is this related to essentially just plain old anti-Semitism, old school ass
blood libel.
Right. So the stage
I
is
knew it. I'm good.
now set for QAnon's perverse fabricated tale that a pedophile ring of Democratic politicians and Hollywood celebrities is engaged in satanic sacrifices, culminating in slurping the blood of massacred children. To make matters worse, this crackpot lunacy has anti-Semitic overtones. Accusations that Jews use the blood of Christian children to make matzah for Passover have a long, appalling history. A famous case in 1475 is a horrific example. 2-year-old Simon disappeared from the Italian city of Trent, and the local Jewish community was rounded up and burned at the stake after being forced to confess under torture that the boy had been sacrificed and his blood used to bake matzah.
Why, it always just comes back to the JQ.
It really does. It really just.
We always end up back here.
Like, even whenever they're like, oh, they're, when it's just plain old white great replacement theory, it's like,
it
oh,
just
they're
gets
replacing.
back to the JQ. Yeah.
Goes back to the J's. Yep.
I feel like I'm stuck in like the Minotaur's labyrinth, but instead of at the center of this labyrinth being a bull creature who wants to, I don't know, do something mean to me, there is just another asshole asking the JQ. That we always work our way through the labyrinth and then find this fucker again, going, well, it's the Jews. And it's like, motherfucker, find something new.
Yeah, that's upsetting. Wait, is Dennis acting like Randy now? Come on, I thought Dennis was safe from that. Come on, Dennis, you were the good one. Don't be Randy.
You were the good Quaid.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to go ahead and download that clip that we're there, because he just straight up mentions all the things. He mentions the adrenochrome. He mentions George Soros. He's crying. He mentions Jesus. He's crying again. Good stuff. Yeah, yeah. You know what pizza means? Cheese pizza, right? Cheese pizza. Hey, isn't that what they call you, Charles? CP? Oh, there's some connection there, because my mind made two things connect, and that means there's some deeper connection because I'm an idiot.
It's that lady who said that the Monster Energy drink can says 666 because if you can draw 666 on the can or whatever, and if you turn it sideways and look at it funny with her little doodle on it, it kind of maybe looks like it says 666.
Yep, that's it. It's oh my god. Yep. I'm just kind of tracing this thread. Sorry, it's not on screen.
Sure.
I'm tracing this thread back to when the first time that he showed up somewhere mentioning adrenochrome, and like, it's just, he's in his movie theater every single time apparently.
Yeah, it is more than a home theater. It's like a home movie theater.
Yeah, no, totally. That's the kind of, I mean, that makes sense. I think movie stars generally would have something like that in their homes. And like, he's clearly just like watching movies and then mad that he doesn't get work anymore, and then like, coming up with reasons why he's on the internet going, oh, it's probably because of the Jews. Like, and the adrenochrome shit. Oh my god, it's so fucking dumb. Come on, Jim Caviezel. Yeah, this is where Sound of Freedom premiered. The big premiere.
What?
Was in that theater.
Is that true?
No, I don't think it is. No. Because I mean, it's actually made some money. It's just that he's been making the claim that it's outselling, that it's sold out theaters and it's outselling Indiana Jones, which is not true.
Okay.
He's made the claim that it's outselling it 3-1.
So I have a. Remember when like the conspiracy theory in anti-fan circles was that like Disney was buying up tickets for whatever movie it was that time, they could never keep it straight anymore. I'm bad at keeping things straight to begin with.
They've done it. Let's see. They've done it with
now, right?
Captain Marvel. They've done it with Black Panther. Anything that's not just about a white man, Disney buys tickets for them.
Didn't hear that about Ant-Man, and that one didn't do so hot.
Well,
right?
it was about a white man. So.
Wait, I thought it was about an ant. God, spoilers.
Sorry.
Is that not about a man who turns into an ant? Like, what the fuck?
I mean, shit, maybe it would have been
a better movie.
I mean, yeah. I mean, look, Ant-Man and 3, Ant-Man Quantumania it's basically sits in the same realm as Thor: The Dark World for me now, where it's like, well, no, because I've got a bit of a nuanced take on it, and that.
Are we adding Thor 2 to the fight list for next month?
No, because here's my thing about Thor is that, like, no, it is absolutely, it's because whenever people say it sucks, they say they're grading it on a curve. They're grading against other MCU movies, right?
Sure.
But you compare The Dark World to like most, like pretty much any other actions, sci-fi fantasy movie that came out that same year. There was, it holds up. It's pretty good compared to those. So, it's just what you're comparing it to, and that matters, I think.
Okay. I would have to see what movies came out that year.
All right. Well, we can
do that later. That's
Is that next month that we're doing that?
Yes. That is the 20th. Yeah, the 20th is the Morgan Forces Adversity.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be fun. We're doing some cool stuff here in the next couple of months to kind of I don't know, celebrate a year of doing the podcast. Even though it's not a year to you guys, but it's about to be a year for us.
For us in jamming.
Well, in a few more months anyway. But
right, in a couple of months.
We started recording it in October.
Yep.
Now I'm just kind of making sure I got all of these. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh God.
Uh-oh.
So it's like people. Oh my God. People are so crazy, man.
If true.
Anyway, Sound of Freedom does do $400 better per theater, but it's on 2,000 less screens, fewer screens.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what else to tell you guys. Like,
how?
Oh, this is what I'll tell you about. The Pay It Forward scheme.
Oh.
So provide free tickets for someone to claim and watch the movie at theaters. Pay It Forward. You purchase tickets to show your support to end child trafficking. Can't afford tickets. Claim a free ticket from someone who paid it forward, or share free tickets with someone.
We can reach every corner of the world. Has this had an international release?
I don't know.
Because that's not a thing that happens to every movie.
Let's see. How can you support it? How's the ticket price determined? Exclusively in theaters July 4th. How will the money be used? Your Pay It Forward dollars will provide the means for people to claim actual tickets to see this film. So they're just
evasive.
They're getting the money, right? Like they're getting back in from the movie. Anyone who cannot afford a ticket or would not otherwise be able to see the film will have an opportunity to claim a free ticket at this link and redeem it using these instructions.
Oh, I see that is definitely going to be used to by church groups, I imagine.
Oh yeah,
buy tickets for your business or employees,
100%. It is what happens if not all tickets are claimed. If there are any funds remaining after the theatrical run, they will be used to pay for streaming Sound of Freedom in the Angel Studios app. Oh, cool. They got an app.
But it's not the only movie on it.
I don't think it is illegal because it's really just it's not illegal. It's just unethical whenever they start talking about how they're competing with, it's the same thing with fucking Eric July and how he'll say, oh, well, Mark Brooks hasn't had a comic book that's made $3.7 million. And it's like, no, that's true. You got him there. But I mean, you're also working on a completely fucking different, publishing and distribution model.
Right.
There couldn't be further apart from how, and to compare them as if they're the same thing is fucking absurd.
And because Marvel's a part of a publicly traded company, they have to show receipts on what they make, where
yep.
Eric July's money comes from places and things, some of which may have even been people. Not to say that all of his customers weren't real comics fans, because there are, I'm sure, some out there.
They definitely are some real people. I will say that.
They're characters for sure. A FINRA regulated portal. I want to look that up. What is FINRA?
Please do. Please do that. America's #1 movie.
All right.
So this is just like they're slightly better, or actually maybe even really much better branded Pure Flix. Like they are somewhat more optically aware that they know they can't play up the Christy shit too much, and that they have to actually make stuff look like a real movie to a degree. False. We'll finish the weekend at number 3.
Oh, there we go.
Well, I mean, like, look, they're raising money to send people to see a propaganda, but why aren't they raising money for child trafficking, like, to fight that? What?
Well, it's once again, think of the children, but like we're not gonna really, so I'm gonna put a pin in what I'm about to say, and I'm gonna go back to what I'm looking up.
Go ahead. Sorry.
FINRA is the Financial Industry Regulation or Regulatory Authority. It's a private company that does self-regulation for brokerage firms and exchanges.
So it's not actually anything that's held to any account by any agency that matters or anything. They just do their own accounting.
It sounds like people pay them to verify that they're not scamming you.
Oh, so they are paid by this Angel Studios to tell the Angel Studios customers that Angel Studios is not scamming them.
That seems to be the case.
Sounds legit. All on the up and up.
Well, it actually seems like it's not on the up and up, but
there's no evidence that they're doing anything wrong. I'll say that.
Right.
But it's also the kind of relationship that leaves it possible.
It's a private regulator that promises real regulators that nothing shady is going on, and that they would be on the line if it is.
Oh, dude, they raise more money than What Is a Woman made. I mean, look, okay.
You know what?
Of the two causes, one of them is more legit. And I'll say that. That's the most fucking praise, the most credit I'll give this shit. One of them actually is a problem. Just not
children are being trafficked somewhere. that is true. But like all of these, think of the children things. I guess this one actually wants to help children with a real problem just badly, right? Like the people who give money really want to help a problem. This is just the worst way to go about it. Where like the What Is a Woman crowd mostly just wants to defund education and children's health care and is scapegoating trans folks to do it.
It's probably to me it seems more like the Bannon Wall Fund, right? Where like, okay, so no, because there's not anyway, let's just look at it this way. Bannon did put some money toward some resources that did something slight toward some wall that didn't really matter or happen. Right. But most of it he pocketed himself.
Right. He took the money and run.
So it's like, it seems kind of like, not, who knows, but I'm just willing to bet that at some point down the road, who knows how long, there's going to be some stuff that comes out about this and where the money went and what was done with it and stuff like that. I just can't see it being, okay, fucking Christ, what did I find yesterday about let me find where it was. Jim Caviezel was talking about his private security team. Fuck, where's it at? Was it this article?
He talks about how oppressed he is. He's got private fucking security. Give me a fucking break.
Well, let me finish, because this is actually a really good write-up about this. It's a review of the movie, and it's just the meta context of it. Of like,
sure.
Apart from its relentless messaging, let me back up. So, Jim Caviezel plays Ballard, who's a real guy, as was mentioned earlier. He runs the organization OUR. Okay, so it fetishizes the torture of children and lingers over lush preludes to their sexual abuse. The movie does. So you got a movie that, no, of course it doesn't show anything that actually happens, but it shows there's like these long protracted sequences, I guess, before it, where you're like dreading it happening, and there's like, and then it's kind of, you know, making a fetishization out of it, right?
I'm literally gonna be like, that's literally like turning my stomach right now.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like how whenever I looked at Slick Jimmy Love, who was a Comicsgate guy who got busted with like 3,000 images of CP, and he's in jail, thankfully, prison. And but you look at the comic he was doing beforehand called Little Girl Lethal, and it is about a girl who was sold into, you know, this kind of like sex trafficking. And the couple of images that I've looked at of his comic, which not the other images of his comic that he was selling.
Sure.
There are ways you can actually show, if you wanted to, for whatever reason. I don't know why you'd want to, but you can tell a story where a child is going to be abused or whatever, and it's not done in a way that makes it look good, right? Like, especially if you're an artist, right? Like, you can draw this the dread of a little girl who's going to be harmed before you cut away or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, but that's not what's in these images. It's a girl who looks like she's like a little girl with like womanly lips and eyes, and you know what I mean? Like, and it's not drawn in a way that makes you fucking recoil the way that you should looking at an image like that, right? And it doesn't, even be perfectly clear, it doesn't show anything that actually happens. It's all the lead up, and that seems to be what this does, is something similar in movie form, where like, you know, their guy's gonna do whatever the hell, and it's just like, you don't even need to. It's so fucking gross.
That's
so anyway,
all right.
So anyway, back to his description. He says, at times I had the uncomfortable sense that I might be arrested myself just for sitting through it. Nonetheless, the mostly white-haired audience around me could be relied on to gasp, moan in pity, mutter condemnations, applaud, and bellow amen at moments of righteous fury, as when Ballard declares that God's children are not for sale. They were entranced by what they clearly took as a searing expose. Not even the occasional nasty coughing fit, and we had no shortage of those, could break the spell. A lot of old people coughing through the movie, I guess. So you're introduced to Caviezel as Ballard, working for Department of Homeland Security as part of the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. He takes down purveyors of child porn, but is haunted by the knowledge that the actual victims are beyond his grasp. And now I can actually see that probably being a thing if you're somebody that does that job. Like, you're hunting.
That's a hard job.
You're hunting down the aftermath, like the pictures have already been taken, kind of thing. And it's like, but meanwhile, there's children that are actively being harmed right now, and that's fucking. Yeah, it's got to be fucking pretty heavy thing to do. You know, because like, yes, you have to hunt down the shitty images and stuff that exist, but like, fuck, can't get to the people that are doing it. And so I get that. That's apparently what Tom Ballard was doing before. Meanwhile, a father in Honduras entrusts his young daughter and son to a woman who claims she can set them up with modeling careers, only to abduct them for transport to a trafficking ring in Colombia. So there's also probably a good bit of the whole, you know, it's brown people down south that are doing all this trafficking kind of vibe to it.
Sure, right.
It's not the case. I mean, yes, it's happening. Lots of people do it.
It's happening. It's happening all over the world and lots of people, but it is not specifically a global South phenomena.
When Tom Ballard takes the initiative of arranging his first sting to nab a pedo who has stolen a child in tow, he conveniently ends up rescuing the little boy, and commits to finding the sister as well. Eventually, he'll abandon the DHS altogether, a rogue crusader fed up with bureaucratic limitations, to infiltrate and bring down the Colombian operation. Oh, just the Colombian one. Okay, makes sense. Not anybody else. Apart from its relentless messaging, the movie is hobbled by a near-total absence of procedural logic. The original rescue is only possible because Ballard is standing at the exact right spot of the U.S.-Mexico border station at the very moment his target tries to cross. So, luck. Earlier, he convinces an imprisoned CP peddler facing a sentence of 30 years to help him contact traffickers in exchange for an immunity deal, needlessly posing as a pedo himself to gain trust. Needless, like, that's the only way I can do it, is to pretend to be one myself. I can get him to trust me if I'm just one of him.
Sure. Skeptic. Press X to doubt.
When the guy fulfills his end of the bargain, Ballard has a dozen police officers swarm the diner they're in to arrest him again. Wait, how is he sprung from custody in the first place? Doesn't matter as long as the drooling creep with the requisite glasses and pervert mustache gets his head slammed against the table once more.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so procedural logic doesn't matter. Same muddled approach is taken to his later, more sensational busts, which is certainly in keeping with the way of OUR, embellishes and misrepresents their international missions, according to a Vice News or investigation of the group. And I'll get to that again. I'll get to them in a second. So, I'm trying to make sure I'm not missing. Oh, Amira Sorvino's in this. Poor thing. What's she doing? Man. I guess she was a Weinstein victim from what I remember. And like she says that it definitely affected her career and stuff. So
sure. Sometimes you take it right. Some people end up in movies because of taking a job, right? Like you gotta. It's one of those things that, like, if an actor shows up in a sketchy movie, I'm not going to be like, they're canceled. It's when they make that pattern of behavior that I'm like, are you doing the sword bow thing?
Oh, she's only in it for like 2 minutes. She plays his wife. And she too evidently had a personal stake in joining the film, telling the Washington Examiner this week that she has met so many child survivors and my heart burns for them. Okay. As implausible as the movie is, it invents a finale where Ballard journeys deep into the jungle alone to pluck a girl from the clutches of guerrilla militants, which he accomplishes by posing as a doctor distributing cholera vaccines. One wonders if it was extreme enough for Caviezel's liking. The actor had taken to repeating the most grotesque falsehoods of the sprawling QAnon ideology, among them that traffickers are adrenochrome.
I think it's interesting. That what does he pose as? Someone delivering vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not a QAnon whistle.
Yeah, you can't trust those people distributing vaccines.
Right. They could be breaking up Marxist-Leninist groups.
So this movie almost didn't see the light of day. It was filmed several years ago, completed in 2018. No studio would take it for fear of losing money, according to the producer. Netflix, Amazon, among those who passed, it finally found distribution thanks to Angel Studios, a Utah-based media company that crowdfunds original films and TV series that amplify light. Although founded by Mormon brothers who originally created a content filtering service to prevent children from seeing violence, nudity, and profanity, it claims no formal church affiliation. It clearly has some under.
I like that this company that started as like, oh, we're going to make a child filter so children on the internet don't see violence, make like this fucking bordering on hyper violent action movie porn thing.
I'm trying to find where Caviezel talked about this thing with his fuck. I really need to find it because it's ridiculous. It is fucking absurd. He makes the claim that while they were filming the movie, his security team took some days off and went and busted a pedo ring and saved like 100 children. He just says this as if it's like come on, man, that's not
a provable.
It's just not true. I'm sorry. I don't
yeah.
need to hear anything else, and we would have heard about it. It would have
Yeah, movie star. Like imagine in today's ecosystem, the media circus that would have been right-wing movie star, literally Jesus Christ security detail saves 100 children from sex traffickers, right? Like that would be all over the news. That wall to wall, front page. I'm sick. Like I'm actually.
It's disturbing. I'm gonna search my history real quick. So nobody look. Don't look at my screen.
I'm looking at your screen. So I want to talk about Tim Ballard because I was doing a little poking.
Mm-hmm.
And I found a Atlantic article from looks like recently.
Mm-hmm.
Where they
I remember why. Sorry.
Let me just try and verify this.
Well, while you do, I found what I was looking for, and the reason I forgot where it was is because it was actually on Bounding into Comics.
Oh.
Because they, believe it or not, they actually, look, John F. Trent, I'll give him a bit of, I guess, it's not praise because, like, really, this is what he should be doing with everything, but he doesn't. The article title actually says Jim Caviezel claims upcoming film Sound of Freedom is outselling Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny 3-1. Insinuates that Disney tried to shut the film down, and that is a factually true headline because he's using but also goes to show that he knows how to use those terms like claims and insinuates. I'm surprised he's doing it with this movie in particular because then in other examples he's like Edge of Spider-Verse or I'm sorry Across the Spider-Verse promotes child genital mutilation or whatever. So John Trent, just be consistent, man. Be a journalist if you're gonna do this shit.
He works at Bounding into Comics, so
he's the editor-in-chief. He's a piece of shit.
Yes. So he's the liar-in-chief. Got it. So according to a Guardian article from a few days ago, DHS does not confirm that Tim Ballard was an employee.
Oh. So
they won't say one way or the other. So
probably just a grifter.
Yeah.
Probably just a grifter. Okay. Fucking Christ. And Jim Caviezel definitely is. So Caviezel would go on to reveal that while they were shooting the movie, his security detail went on a raid to take out a group of human traffickers. He explained, "We were down there shooting in the middle of the jungle, right where the cartel are. When we were down there, I was like, hey, my wife is really concerned about me shooting down here." And Tim goes, "Hey, tell him he's got a group of Navy SEALs around him and he'll be good." One day I'm looking around, I'm on the phone with my wife. I don't see anybody around because they were on a mission. They saved over 100 kids. They were doing a mission while we were down there.
Lies. No, that didn't happen.
And look at how they wrap up their own, because they're doing crazy fucking movies about crazy shit that's actually, not only just irresponsible and probably actively against the thing that they claim to be active working against the causes that they claim to be for, but just it's craziness, and it's clearly agenda driven crap. But whenever Amazon or Netflix doesn't want to buy it, right, or whatever, they take that as proof that, look, the insinuation here is pretty fucking gross, and you know what it is already. But Caviezel went on to share the film faced headwinds after the Walt Disney Company bought out Fox. He said, "At one point, we lost all our money because Fox got bought out by Disney. So Disney is holding the purse strings here. We lose the film. Eddie goes out and gets us $5 million and saves the movie. You weren't supposed to see this. This is a movie they do not want you to see, Caviezel asserted. And we are fastly selling out our theaters right now, and we need more people to call to get more theaters. So like it's this whole underlying, it's not even really underlying, it's just almost right there.
Right.
Disney does, they don't want you to see it because they're fucking pedophiles. That's basically
right. That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
And I hate to tell this guy, I don't think Disney cares if you call them pedophiles. I think they're just fucking used to that by now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why they think that it really is just, somebody said it really simply recently, and I don't remember who it was, but it's like, that really is it. It's like, when you are a terrible person and you have no fucking values that anybody recognizes anything, good or moral or anything, the thing that you do to make yourself feel and appear superior to other people is just call them pedos.
Yeah.
And that sucks because there are real fucking people that hurt children, and those people need to be, fucking dealt with in whatever, way needs to conditionally based on them and whatnot. But like, when you're just such a piece of shit that rather than fucking build up your character and define a set of beliefs and values, get some axioms and ground your fucking morals and that shit, and then live consistently by those, rather than do any of that, you just call everybody you don't like a pedo.
Right.
So,
especially when you're so clearly involved in being okay with pedophiles.
Right. Yep. And there's a lot of that on the right. I still got this folder called Pedocon.
Yep.
Which is just all about conservative pedos. We could look at that next week or anytime you guys want to. We can just do a whole deep dive on these right wingers and the facts around their interests. It's upsetting.
I think at some point we need to do a why the right pushes pedophilia panic.
Yeah.
And it's just to dilute the issue and to try and get attention off of them for their own.
100%. 100%. I mean, the H. Pearl Davis, just pearly things, that chick.
No.
She has a tweet here. Others are saying it's okay he screwed a 9-year-old because it was a different time. Okay, I could get maybe 13 or 12, but 9?
What the fuck?
So, 9 is too far for her. 13 or 12, okay, I could get that. Like, fucking, these are their heroes, I got clips here from, what's his name? The Nazi kid, the fucking guy that I want to punch really hard.
Nick Fuentes?
Fuentes, I got a clip of him saying some gross shit. I got a clip of Gutfeld saying some shit. I got a clip of Andrew Tate saying some shit. Well, we already know.
And if Andrew Tate hasn't, he is a sex trafficker.
Right. It's, but I mean, it just extends to underage children too, is all I'm saying.
Right.
His deviancy, and then then we got good old Matt Walsh. He's got some really
noted child genital enthusiast,
classic clips just talking about this stuff, and and that's not to say that like everybody on the right's one, or that there's none on the left or anything like that. It's to say that it is not. It overlooks the real problems, and it's really just fucking distraction, obfuscation.
That this panic is designed to put the blame for a thing that's a real problem on somebody else.
Yep. But, to cleanse the palate.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, mother.
I am bopping over here when you bring that up. It just
that's the saxoboom. I love the saxoboom. He used to bring that out on stage, like they would be doing a real concert,
nice.
And he would be like, "All right, saxoboom solo," and he'd do that exact same tune too.
I love it.
Yep. And here is the title graphic for the video I'm currently working on.
Get it.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit different now because I had to tweak it to make all 3 slashes happen at once because that wouldn't make any sense for them to happen the way that they do there. But yeah. Yeah, we're at 3 hours. We've been going.
Wow, holy shit.
I appreciate you guys sitting through the somewhat jumbled. No audio yet. Just the graphic. I mean, it's got audio now. I just didn't have time to export another one before the show. Let's see. Yeah. Anyway, hope you're all subscribed. And again, be here Wednesday or be at
other
Turf
fine
Nation,
channels.
Turf Nation. I don't know why I was fucking slipping my mind. Turf Nation also streams his channel now for our shows as well as Organized Chaos. Hang out. And then
you may even see me in chat sometimes, maybe, asterisk.
Maybe Charles will be there. We don't know. We never know anymore. He's surprise Charles. That's what we call him. I don't.
Is he a cryptid or something? Just like Bigfoot, like you see him in the woods, maybe, but it's all blurry.
Yeah, kind of like that. I mean, yeah, pretty much.
Nice.
No, he was on with us last week. That was fucking cool. It felt like old times and whatnot. Also, Dean, check out Cosmo and Natalia. I think you guys are still working towards this. A second stretch goal? Is that right?
Nice.
I don't remember. You showed me some cool ass. I'm gonna pull them up real quick actually because he keeps sending me these covers, and I'm like, God damn, because they're good. Oh, you sent me some cool stuff here. Okay. Thank you for that, Dean. I'm sorry I missed that message. I will have it Wednesday to look at, though. I'm going to show this Jake Sunrise homage cover that you showed me the other day.
Ooh.
That I was too dumb to recognize what it was homaging, and he had to tell me. I'm a bad comic nerd.
Boo, nerd.
So here is Jake Sunrise. Return of Jake Sunrise. Do you recognize that at all? I recognize the general shape and the placement of characters, but I couldn't. Yeah.
The problem is that there's been so many homages to this done, I don't know what the original is. Nice.
Yeah. Fucking cool.
Is that Joe Fixit Hulk too?
Yep.
Nice.
This is probably there's probably a patch thing in there somewhere. Okay. I thought I could do a comparison view, but we're not finding it. So, I've been thinking a lot about Wolverine lately, and Patch. Okay, Patch. That's his freaking 5 days. Sweet. That's his I guess his when he goes undercover, he's
right.
Patch. Right? But like it's clearly just Wolverine and an eye patch. Like what I'm sorry, I love the character and everything, but like it made me think of there must be some character in comic universe he can also just hop universes from DC to Marvel, and he's just like a con man who whenever superheroes need like an undercover identity,
right?
He's like he sells it to him. He goes, give me $30,000, and all right. So what you need, Superman? You just put on some glasses. Yeah,
right.
And then he fucking takes the $30,000 and he's like, sucker.
Okay, so hear me out. If I am a Hydra buyer, right? I work for Hydra. I'm buying stuff. I'm in Madripoor. That's where he's often under the Patch like pseudonym.
Yeah.
And I'm there doing some pre-criming, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I see Wolverine at the bar. Like I'm there after work. I've done my dirty deeds for the day, and I've punched out. I'm off the clock. I'm having a drink, and in comes Patches. And I go, you know what? I've seen the wanted poster back at Hydra HQ. I know that's fucking Wolverine.
Right.
Am I dumb?
Like you literally my best friend who he worked another shift for me. He actually was working my shift. He took my shift for the day.
Right. Got gutted by that guy.
He got gutted by Wolverine. And like, you think I don't know what that guy looks like?
Right. And you know what I'm going to do? he tells me he's Patches, I'm gonna go, hello, Patches. Would you like a drink? I am going to lean into his cover so that I keep my innards where they belong. He doesn't go under the Patches identity for his safety. He does it for yours.
That's true. Everyone did think the X-Men were dead at that time. I don't know that that's enough of a, like, Wolverine had a reputation that, like, I still wouldn't be confident of that. I would be like, I don't know. I heard they're dead, but he says Patch, not Patches. I think you were calling him Patches to be cute, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not Cat. No, but like this is so I showed this on Twitter the other day, and I had never read X-Force Sex and Violence before. It's only like 3 issues, but fuck, is it good? It's just exactly what it says it is. It's just Wolverine and Domino banging and then killing people. That's it. That's all it is, but it's good.
I'm down for that.
It's 3 issues, you know, does it no fat on it. You know what I mean? It's like the plot kicks in and they're just humping and it's a bunch of you know, in fact, you want to talk about trafficking, it is the bad guys are trafficking these Japanese girls, and that's how it starts. Is Domino saves them from the back of a truck that they're in.
There you go.
And then she takes the truck, which also has millions of dollars in it. And then of course the bad guys, which is like the Hand and some Hydra folks, just you know, they want it back. And you know, at that point, you've already set up that these are real pieces of shit. So like whatever they do doesn't matter. Wolverine can do what he does, which is cut them up. And this panel right here just made me laugh out loud because they're like fighting. You know, there's Domino and they're, you know, these bad guys are all in their high tech bullshit and they're getting shot up pretty good. And then this guy, he's like, you know, and I just fucking laughed so hard because he's like, you know, Dubois, Murphy, Split, Blindside, and then you hear snit, snit. Oh God. And it's just like, that is exactly the fucking response that these guys should have to that. Like,
right. Yeah, when Patch walks into the bar.
Yeah, when Patches comes up and he's like, hey, bud. Right?
You're just like, yep, perfect. You're Patch. That's fantastic. I'm so glad for you. This first round's on me.
And then there's this one page that's like, holy shit, man, this is good. This is good violence right here. He just slices this dude's head in 3, you know? Like that's they don't do these comics that much anymore.
No, they don't.
Maybe it's because of Disney. Who knows? But like they should every once in a while put out, you know, just like, oh, let Wolverine do his thing. Let the characters that do their thing do it just unimpeded for put a mature label on it. I don't give a fuck. And just put it out. Yeah.
I think every so often I think you need a Marvel Knights-esque.
Yeah.
Like just a story that's going to go a little harder. If nothing else, to change things up.
Well, because like I watched Logan the other night too, and between that and this, and just seeing like we're being reminded, oh yeah, that's what a guy's razor sharp hand claws would do.
Right.
Like, he wouldn't be just like popping them out and then I don't know, slicing wood or whatever. How does he normally use them? I can't even think about it like right now. Like, what does he normally do?
Like, I think in most comics, if it's not a robot, right? If he's fighting dudes.
Yeah.
It will show from like an angle where it isn't as this.
Yeah,
right.
You're right.
Where,
and it'll be like some black. It'll have black instead of red. Like you'll get
the black blood thing.
Yeah. True.
You'll get the claws out the back. You'll get the punch shot where it just looks like he's punching a guy, and you can see like the ends of the claws, like where it's by his knuckles, like in the guy. Like or they do like they did in the old the 90s X-Men show where he'd pop his claws and then grab guys and throw them.
Yep.
I love that. I'm just like, what is it?
Well,
There's
because
an extra step here.
Then if they struggle to at all, then they're going to get cut. That's really the implication. Like
right.
The claws are just to keep you still while they're a threat and they're to keep you in place. You don't move when I'm throwing you. You're good.
Right. It's the out of bounds line.
But this is how far I've been off into bub culture lately.
Yeah.
By the way,
Dane is fully bubbed pilled.
I'm bubbed up. I got a manga. I bought manga.
You got the Wolverine manga, didn't you? Nice.
Yep.
I fucking love that cover.
It's cool. And
that's a cool ass cover.
That's just cool on its own too. Like I thought about making that the entire aesthetic of the video. I didn't, but I thought about it. Good stuff. I have only read a couple of pages of it, to be honest, so far, and
it's manga.
It is manga. I mean, like there's whenever this big robot thing shows up right at the beginning, and look, I'll be honest, so far I don't know that I'm gonna love it, because this is not what I imagine Wolverine doing. Just like cold, like a cool ass guy in this way, just like slice all in one motion and like slices the thing in half, and he like looks away as he does it. I don't know. That's just not a very Wolverine thing to me.
It's a very cool pose.
It is. It's
someone
very
else,
cool.
right?
It's very cool. But it's very anime, very manga, but not very Wolverine. And I was
not
hoping
very
that
Wolverine. You know who I could see doing this though in the Wolverine sort of pantheon? Dakin, right? Like,
oh yeah, sure.
That's very Dakin.
Yep. And he just walks up all silent to the thing, and he does that, and then of course I pretty much put it down after that, because I was not because of this, but because I just had other stuff to do.
Right.
I have not. I'll check it out. I keep hearing it's good.
I have not either. I just heard about it this weekend. What's it on? Like, where is it in the universe?
It's Adult Swim. I believe. Isn't it Adult Swim?
I have no idea. That's why I'm asking. I know it's a thing, but I haven't had a chance to check it out or even figure out where it is. So, I still have. This is how busy I am. I have not watched Strange New Worlds this week.
I haven't either.
Like, that is normally like the first thing I do Thursday morning is I don't even get out of bed. I put my headphones in and watch it on my iPad before I am fully awake. And this week it was just not too much shit going on.
Yep. Too much shit. Yeah. Well,
yep.
That's about all we got, really. I mean, we've gone way over, really, but it's been fun. Having a good time. Talking about Wolverine, talking about, censorship, talking about Jim Caviezel and Jesus.
Yeah. We found Jesus, but we want to send him back.
Yeah, can we get our money back? Or?
Was there a deposit? I want my deposit back on Jesus.
Adult Swim and Max. Okay, so it's on the old Max.
I will have to make Max work again. Every time, like, the problem with Max is that I don't use it often enough, so it logs me out all the damn time.
Oh.
And I have to log in through my cable provider. And so it's just like, is that going to work? It's always just a process. And then by the time do I want to go through that process? I'm just like,
you could have opened another platform already.
I am already watching DS9.
Yeah. That's the way it
just
goes.
like, oh, where was I in DS9?
All right, folks. I hope you have a lovely week, and hope to see you here or on one of the other two channels streaming that show Wednesday. And yeah,
I will see you either here or in a chat somewhere.
You'll be around. You will.
Superman as a Sailor Moon anime. I'm not fangirling. I'm not. You can't prove it.
Sounds interesting, I guess.
It does.
All right, we'll check it out.
Well, check it out. Yeah.
Have a good one. Bye.
Toodles.